Captain Sinclair. I hope your ship is well. That only Jolly Roger has been through hell. Yo ho ho, on an adventure we go. In the heated digital high seas, we travel with ease until we reach the outer edge and freeze. The Arctic chill like a very speed mill through the darkness led by our will. Yo ho ho, on an adventure we go to meet on the outer limits of society, broadcasting the reality. The pirates will always steal the show from WPRPN, and you know, yo ho, on an adventure we go. Docked our vessels in the Skullport Harbor. No landlubbers will fight for you harder. Your old first mate went AWOL after a tricky kill haul. The legacy of pirate radio is strong. I hope our mates will come along. The changes we seek may not be long. That is why I wrote this song. And they go ho ho, on adventure we go. Welcome everybody, friends, folks, foes, and fellow pirate mateys, to our weekly edition of World Pirate Radio News. That's right, folks. Pirate Church is in. Show segment number 324. As always, I am, of course, your trusted host and companion, Robin Hood's Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder. WPRPN.com, we will remind you, is the website you'll want to drop by, take a look at, sign up as free. All you simply need is a username, password, and email. Be sure as well to check out our show description end of things. A lot of really handy, dandy URLs, and not least of which, of course, our Patreon presence that we have in place. Sign up as free. If you, after that point, choose to support us, it's all done on a per item basis. So depending on how many stories, essentially, or pieces of content, bootleg, behind the scenes content pieces that we publish, it's all done on a $1 per item basis, unless of course you are subscribing to the after show end of things, Rogues Gallery after show. That's $5, so on and so forth. So yeah, do check that out. We also have merchandise up for grabs. A lot of great pirate swag available via places including galacticfire.com, Teespring, and TeePublic. So also encourage people to think outside the box, and do keep in mind that when supporting us, if you dig what we do here, mateys, that half of
Well, Danny here certainly digs what we do, don't you? Yes. So, um, half of everything goes directly back to charity, very much in conjunction with the whole WWRHD, what would Robin Hood do, ethos and philosophy. So, if all else fails, always appreciate it anytime people like, comment, share, um, hit subscription notification buttons or password onto friends, family, and coworkers. So, having said all this, and I think we've covered all the bases more or less, let's bring into the conversation as we continue to get the rest of the show set up here. The people that we have on board, old friends and pirate mateys from around the world. Vinny from Brooklyn, Mark Edworthy out of the UK, Roger Hansen, who was with us here just a few moments ago. I'm not sure if he dropped out or what happened, but it doesn't look like we can't see him at present. So maybe some technical issues or what have you. We've Tank Man, Alan Fredrickson, courtesy of Fort Collins, Colorado, and Robert Morningstar, who will be joining us via Manhattan, New York, USA, in maybe half an hour or a little later, depending on how he's able to take care of things on the home front, get everything straightened out over there. So, Vinny, might as well and encourage everyone once again. This is a friendly reminder here to check out the show's talking points that we've put together and added to the chat end of things. Not that everything once again is fixed and set in stone, but more that people will have a rough approximate idea of where we'd like to see things go this week. You can expand upon anything that we throw out there, or just come to the table with anything that's been taking place via wherever it is that you happen to call home, your part of the world, or whatever, for that matter, whatever you think we might have missed out on.
Yeah. Forget about. Yeah, so guys, I don't know if you heard that Carmelo Anthony was indicted for the murder of Austin Metcalf today.
Who are these people? Names don't really mean much to me personally. Are they?
Well, this was the stabbing a couple of months ago. You remember at a high school track meet?
I didn't hear about that. So yeah, it just goes to show how with news cycles, like, some people are completely oblivious to these things. But go ahead, let's hear some more of the details.
All right. Well, I got wind of this right around the 5 o'clock hour. The old news cycle,
yeah.
And I posted it, and it was about time, justice delayed, right? But justice nonetheless, at least thus far, right? So he got away with setting up a GoFundMe to fund the fact that he stabbed a kid to death, right? And it's pretty much premeditated. There's really no getting around that. But here it is today. He's indicted for the murder of Austin Metcalf.
Austin Metcalf. Yeah, that name, now that you mention it, it does ring a bell. Austin Metcalf. So, and
the significant thing is it's a black guy who stabbed a white kid. That's the important thing. And
right.
Okay.
And of course, we never see that happen, do we? That's racist even to suggest that could happen. So,
well, it's funny. It's funny, right? Because they have in Chicago, they have stab and shooting weekends, and we never really hear about it except for the fact that they happened, right? But they never become any kind of cause celebre. It's just like, oh yeah, it's Chicago. That's what happens, right? Thanks. What's the idiot's name? Johnson, that commie freak. You know,
Mm.
all the stupid crap he's doing.
Out of Illinois.
Yeah. You remember he's the mayor of Chicago.
Oh, okay.
What is that fool's name? Your first name, but he once again, it's people insisting that you should ignore the evidence of your eyes.
Yeah, his name is Brandon Johnson.
Brandon, yes, yeah, I can remember the first name.
You know, I was happy when he got elected. I thought
that
nobody
you should ignore the evidence of your eyes.
Yeah, because nobody could be worse than Lori Lightfoot, but they found one.
Ah,
Yeah.
it's a race to the bottom in Chicago, I guess.
Yeah.
Quality of political representation, it seems. Oh, it's incredible. So, all right, Robert, are you gonna drop in then? And
I'm in. I would like to read to you my latest report on what happened in Israel. You know, a friend of mine, Joachim Hagopian, wrote an article, "Middle East Peace at Last, or Another U.S.-Israeli Broken Ceasefire Ruse." So I've been covering the war daily, and so I wrote back to him, "Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Excellent article. What hath God wrought? This whole 12-day charade was scripted from beginning to end, and long overdue justice was delivered to Israel by its own hand for their crimes over Dimona 1963, in Gaza 2023-24, the 9/11 attacks and their slaughter of our U.S. Navy sailors aboard USS Liberty June 8, 1967. What remains of Israel today is just a smoldering carcass of a half-slaughtered sacred cow. We must wonder how their bloody red heifers are doing. I do not foresee any third temple rising up from the ruins anytime soon. The beast of the apocalypse, Netanyahu, and his most sadist intelligence service outwitted themselves, and they have teleported Israel back to 1947. The truth cannot be hidden forever. This was no victory or even a stalemate for Israel. Today, Tel Aviv, Haifa, Beersheba, and Ashkelon lie in smoldering ruins with the real body count still rising.
yeah,
If not, Netanyahu had not attacked Iran on Friday the 13th, Tel Aviv would still be standing tall. Oil fires in Haifa would not be smoldering, and the people in Beersheba and Ashkelon would be thriving, not being bathed in concrete dust and ashes. Israel lost far more than it has gained by following their most sadist maxim to wage war by deception, because in the end they came to believe their own lies, and as I wrote last week, the self-deceived will be self-destroyed. So it was written, so it has been done, by the hands of Netanyahu, not the hand of God. M today stands for Moses.
all right.
And I would ask you to go to, I have covered this war. I have shown what was going on at robertmorningstar.substack.com, the Morningstar Report. I have shown the destruction as it was happening every day. And the Mockingbird media hid everything. They forbade, they're actually chasing down Israelis who took videos of the impacts and the damage that was done, because they quickly passed a law that it was subversive and they couldn't allow those kinds of videos to go out. But the Israelis, the good Israelis, got them out, and they were being shown by Indonesia, India, certain outlets across the world, and I was able to scour them up. And if you really want to see what happened, I said the Iron Dome turned out to be Iron Dumb. It just crashed on their heads. It was all BS. And so, Mr. President Trump, you better reconsider this Golden Dome you're thinking about putting over the United States. You can't stop hypersonic missiles. They create a sheath, and they create a plasma sheath around the warhead as they're coming in, which is a chaotic cloud of electrons, metallic from the metal. And radar and microwaves cannot penetrate it. It doesn't bounce anything back. And if you go to the Morningstar Report online on Substack, you're going to see these things coming in. And as I like to say, when I expose falsehood, the jig is up, the truth cannot be hidden forever, and reality is crashing in on Israelis and all their supporters, the heretical Christian Zionists who have been duped. They're all captive. You know, they're all captives. They're all suffering Stockholm syndrome, trauma-based mind control. So that's my first report for the good ship, pirate ship Robin Hood.
Excellent. Well, much appreciated. Thank you.
Sure.
So,
You're welcome.
yeah, and even Bill Clinton recently came out stating quite, honestly, can you believe that? It's amazing to hear. Actually, sometimes even the devil speaks the truth. That BB depends. Watch. And what? Vinny, is everybody else hearing the echo feedback loop coming from?
I heard it for a second. Yes, not now.
Yeah. So Robert, when other people are talking, namely, it just happens when I'm talking for some reason. It seems is when I can hear that feedback loop. But just everyone mute out when other people are speaking. I guess is the best way of maintaining high quality, technical optimization essentially. But Clinton is stating quite clearly, explicitly, to the point, didn't pull any punches. BB requires war to stay in office, something that we've all known for the whole duration of. Look, going back to the protests. He was seeking, even prior to and leading up to these major protests prior to October 7th, to seize judicial powers. That was his plan. It didn't work out. So what's next? October 7th. People are still protesting. They want him out. It's like, well, we'll just do this inside job where whoopsie, the world's most highly sophisticated. Look how easily they managed to decapitate Iran's military heads and intelligence people in the intelligence community and those involved in the nuclear program. And I give them, as far as military operations and the ability to murder and assassinate, the element of surprise, kind of.
Well, Jaffe,
They
I don't
did
know if you want to give
an
them
amazing
credit.
job.
Well, I don't know if you want to give them credit necessarily. They just do what most people don't expect people to do. That's what it is.
Well, but that's that's how war is. When you're through deception, they do make war, and they do a very good job of it. So, but October 7th, mainstream media once again, just it's incredible. All of these shills, and they're getting paid so much money to speak so eloquently, and they are intelligent people. Most of them very intelligent, very very eloquent in their speech, capable of how it is that they're not able to see what actually took place on October 7th, as with the whole scamdemic and many other things, including the 2020 election. It's just time, and man-made climate change is another nonsensical narrative that they just toe the line, and as a result, they're rewarded quite handsomely. Just endless
Wait a minute,
amounts.
Jaffe, are you saying climate change isn't real? Don't you know that there is an ATM in a cave someplace where all the climate credits go?
Hey, I'd like to say a couple of words as to why Netanyahu chose to attack at this time when he's been singing that mantra for 40 years.
Yeah.
The fact is, he had to take the spotlight off what was going on in Israel while we were asleep. But in the parliament, in the Knesset. There we're having hearings about a sect of ultra right-wing, radical, racist Jewish cult called the Haredis, which is one of the cornerstones of his support base. What's holding him in power is this deal he made with the radical right Orthodox rabbinate. And what came out was exposure of a cult that's been operating in Israel for decades and conducting, these are the words from Haaretz. This is not anti-Semitism. This is directly from the top Jewish or Hebrew or Israeli newspaper, Haaretz and Hayom Israel. A score of women were testifying before the Knesset on ritual sexual abuse that was being conducted, satanic sacrifices involving circles and pentagrams drawn in blood, blood rituals, blindfolding, torture on these women. And it finally broke in Israel. And simultaneously, it was revealed that Iran had hacked into Israel's pedophilia blackmail database, the Epstein files.
Compromat.
Compromat files, exactly. And so Netanyahu, in his mad frenzy, chose he had to attack Iran to take the spotlight off this scandal. But it's all out in the open. Everything that we've been talking about for the last few years here and on my program about the worldwide human trafficking, pedophilia, organ harvesting, adrenochrome industry centered in Israel, Ukraine, and China has been exposed, and he had to take the spotlight off. And what he did is just he brought down God's ire and fire from the skies on Israel. It's a smoldering room, and only now, maybe people will start to see. Look, I saw buildings coming down in Tel Aviv that reminded me of the World Trade Center. High-rise buildings, 40 stories high, were hit at the base, and they just toppled. Another building was hit in the midsection. I jumped out of my seat when I saw half this high-rise just blown off. Iran is not stupid. Iranians are intelligent. Some of them brilliant geniuses. I have friends who are Iranians, and I have friends who are Jews, and they're caught in this vice grip between Netanyahu's radicals, his Jewish jihadis. I came up with that term for what he's been doing in Gaza. He's a Jewish jihad. He's no different than Hamas. And the people have been kept in a constant state of trauma-based mind control. The important thing is that these hearings show you the root of it. Since childhood, little boys circumcised, they're mutilated. That instills the core of what's necessary for trauma-based mind control. And now they've revealed that they were doing this to girls. So everyone has been captured, and they're all suffering Stockholm syndrome. They're all sympathizing with their own oppressors. And so that's what I've been working on, breaking that mind control grip on both sides, because the Muslims practice the same things. So that's why he attacked. It was this I have the whole article, actually. I published it last week before the attack began. And it also it proves that they worship demonic entities. The women named them. They said they worship Baal Peor and Ashtaroth. And these are names of demons in the Kabbalah and in books of black magic.
Ancient Canaanite entities, are they not?
Yes, they are. They are. And of the most loathsome kind, the most perverted.
Yeah.
And
that seems to really feed directly into what we saw come out of the Black Sea region, the Ashkenazi Khazarians sabotaged Sevi 1666 and inverting everything, standing as if the world didn't already have enough problems of its own, like with the suffering and misery that's just naturally inherent, that he had to come along and decide to make it even worse by turning, making good into bad, and everything that is virtuous, ignoble, and just the whole equation of on its head, and that to see it as virtuous, basically to sin. That was the bottom line within their cult, and that's what we're seeing now. How that's different from, this. Perhaps Robert, the with the kind of promo splash photo that we've used for this week's news segment. We have BB meeting the old rabbi who was the head of the Chabad Lubavitch sect, from what I understand.
Yeah, Rabbi Houston. The guy is dead, and they said he was the Messiah. But
Okay.
the Messiah concept in Judaism is very weird. We think of it as one person, but the fact is they believe in the transmigration of souls. They believe that the soul of, for example, 100 years after Sabbatai Tzvi or Sabbatai Tzebi, they can pronounce it both ways.
Right.
100 years afterwards, Jacob Frank came forth, and he said, "I'm the reincarnation of Sabbatai Tzebi or Sabbatai Tzvi."
Right.
And then the Rothschilds bankrolled him, and they, in mass, 5,000 Frankists converted to Catholicism. And that's how the same heresy that originated in the Middle East in 935 with a man named Ashal Magani, who proclaimed that he'd become God. He had achieved Godhead by always following the opposite of the truth, and therefore the opposite of the truth was a higher cosmic principle than truth. So that heresy spread from that sect of Islam to the Templars, from the Templars to the Masons, and through Jacob Frank into the Catholic Church. So this is how Luciferism has taken over all those religions, including Christian Zionism. I reject the Old Testament. I do not, and I proved it, that Jesus did not worship Yahweh.
Yeah. Well, you don't see too much evidence of that in the New Testament, do you?
I think that everyone should take that Bible, and where the New Testament begins and the Old Testament ends, you should just rip it in half and throw out the Old Testament, because it was stolen from the Sumerian, Mesopotamian Anunnaki creation chronicles. Atrahasis was Noah. They stole the whole narrative, and they just changed the name of the gods, and they threw out the divine feminine. So it's a total perversion, and Jesus told them so to their faces. He condemned Yahweh to the Pharisee, trauma-based mind. He said, "What kind of a father came in?" So I'm hearing myself.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah, it's okay. It's Facebook doing its thing. So
I would say they should metaphorically throw it out, but not physically, because it does serve as an object lesson that people haven't learned from apparently. That's what I believe as far as that goes.
Yahweh is the name of the real God, but a usurper God stole his name and stole his identity and supplanted him. But Jesus wasn't fooled. He said, "What kind of a father would give you snakes when you ask for bread?" And he literally said to them, "You are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father you will do. For he was a murderer and a liar from the beginning, and when he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own." What could be more explicit? And my poor friends in Christian Zionism are hook, line, and sinker sucked into that heresy.
Isn't that
Schofield Bible?
Yeah.
That was the vehicle for stealing their minds.
Oxymoron, though, is it not? Christian, how is Christian Zionism even? Isn't it a contradiction in terms?
It's a complete contradiction. Somehow
Absolutely.
Well, and it all came about as with the Schofield Bible. There was the Rothschild enterprise.
Starby, Oxford Press. Yep.
From the get-go, I guess, and it was necessary. Yeah.
Zionism is atheistic, materialistic, Marxist Leninism.
Yeah.
that hijacked an entire people so that they could establish a state, a gangster state that would protect them. This is what the Rothschilds wanted all the time. They wanted to establish a state so that their gangster operations could be defended, protected by diplomatic protocols and other such things. So we're no longer fooled. We know the truth. The truth is setting us free. But you have to have the courage to face it, and you have to have the courage to reject that premise that the God of the Old Testament is the real God and that the Old Testament is the real history. Part of it is stolen from the Mesopotamians.
It's kind of almost along the lines, really, as far as I see it, the way that the Gnostics refer to this demiurge, that we see that embodied within this Yahweh character, who's just, I mean, he's bloodthirsty, he's jealous, as it says, vengeful, just the worst sort of person you could imagine. And we're expected to worship this
and he
thing.
says,
I mean, come on.
The smell of burnt flesh. I love the smell of burnt flesh. I am a wrathful, jealous God, and I love the smell of burnt flesh.
How duped do people have to be? And that's, I think, why Christ came along. One of the reasons is that he said, "Wake up, people!" You know that, and maybe, yeah, he came not to abolish the law, but to complete it. That's a great way of kind of framing things, I guess, if that's what you believe. But I once again, people who listen to the show, they know my take on things if they've been paying attention, that I see Christ as this epic, sort of almost, I guess, archetypal figure. Hopefully it's not too far, going to in stating he was an archetypal figure and embodiment of the this 900-year epoch of Greco-Buddhism. He was, in fact, the zenith of everything that it had come to represent. Only the problem was, as with today, everything was muddied. It's still gold there, but the waters were muddied by the politics, unfortunately. And it was, interestingly, it was a Sanhedrin who put him to death. And I just can't get over this. How I just found out not so long ago that Joseph of Arimathea was actually one of the Sanhedrin members. And I think there was a couple others that were close to him. Nicodemus might have been one. And
Nicodemus, can I tell a joke?
Sure.
When I was in high school, we were really very well educated in all of this, and we were going to have a religion test, and we were having really terrible headaches because we had a fanatical religion teacher, and my friend Nicholas Glowwatch raised his hand and he said, "Is spelling going to count in the final?" And he said, "Yes." And he said, "Do we have to know how to spell Nicodemus?" And the whole class cracked up. But this is the crux of the matter. We've all been fooled, and we have to stop being fooled. The God of the Old Testament, in my estimation, is an alien, reptilian, bloodthirsty, human-hating entity that hijacked a good stream and polluted it. Archetypes are living, eternal beings, and archetypes do come down. They do incarnate. They are Kuan Yin.
The avatar.
The avatar of Kuan Yin. This is the model for my teacher, Professor Cheng. He espoused Kuan Yin, and I call Kuan Yin the Christ of the East, the Lord of mercy and compassion, the Lord who hears the cries and sufferings of the world with mercy and compassion. So that is our ideal in Tai Chi, in Professor Cheng school.
Do you know something? Do you know Kuan Yin in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition? That is actually the Dalai Lama. Is seen as the earthly embodiment of Kuan Yin, someone they refer to as Chinrei Zig.
Chinrei, yeah.
Yes, and but it's also, he also is said to embody both as we all do, really, male and female qualities. So it's kind
Yes.
of, and then very much within the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, there's always this focus and emphasis on working with energy and in an alchemical way, I suppose, really. The transformation, the shifting of energies, working with energies, like things like the Tong Lin practice, which I really get a big kick out of. I'm not sure if I
That's the path I followed. Strangely, I rejected Christianity completely. I went into Hinduism and Buddhism and found Taoism, but I got very well educated and steeped in Tibetan, the Blue Ray school of the Tibetan teaching, and Kuan Yin and the green Tara and the white Tara.
Right.
They are the ones, when you combine those two, you have reconstituted the cosmic God principle, the balance of male and female. You restore the Shekinah that the Hebrews kicked out of their religion. Shekinah is the consort of Ein Sof, the creator God. So, got to get back to the root.
Wow.
And the source.
So, and the thing about it too, I thought you despised Buddhism.
No, I do not despise Buddhism. There are two schools. There's the black hats, and the yellow hats, and the red hats.
Yeah.
But there is the diabolical, the ones who worship Yama, the god of death.
Yes.
Right? Remember? So.
Well, I don't know about worshiping, but at least acknowledging.
Well, there are some that worship. The Gestapo wore the death's head and the crossbones.
Well, yes.
They were really black hat Buddhists. So they embraced that, and the Dalai Lama of the 1940s was allied with Hitler. He wrote letters to King Hitler and giving him his blessings for his success in his wars. And the Nazis sent expeditions from 1933 to 1944 every year.
Heinrich Herr, 7 years in Tibet. That's right. Big movie. So they did, they were quite above board. It's like he was a Nazi explorer and adventurer. So, Gandhi was a supporter and advocate for. This is a guy who made, what was it, Times Man of the Year, 1937. In fact, was it once or twice that he was featured as Man's Time of the Year, or Man's Times Man of the Year? So Carl Jung, even, for crying out loud. But then they both, I think both later disavowed, or at least Jung, I know, disavowed. He admitted that he made a mistake, I guess. That's how he felt. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. The problem is that the satanic element of Tibetan Buddhism infiltrated Western Europe and Russia, because do you know that Rasputin had a Tibetan guru? And there's a book I recommend to all of you to really understand what I'm talking about. It's called Red Shambhala by Alexander Nemensky. And I met him in New York, and I read his book. He was the first person to come out with what I had discovered. I told you I studied the nature of evil in the 20th century and how it had permeated all of these strains. So the gist of the book is this. When the communist revolution succeeded in Russia, they were very disappointed that they couldn't make any inroads in Europe, because the middle class was happy. The middle class was satisfied with the life and the quality of life that they were experiencing. They didn't want communism. So they said, let's turn our eyes to the East. And so they sent communist Marxist psychologists to the East, into the Kazakhstan, Mongolia, all of those areas, and they found out that these people, the Central Asians, had this legend of Shambhala. And that Shambhala was described as a city in the north from which universal brotherhood would spread across the world. And they said to themselves, this is it. We got to go in there. We have to go into the Asians in Central Asia and East Asia and convince them that Moscow is Shambhala and that the Universal Brotherhood is communism. So that's exactly what they did. So they organized, invested a lot of money in armies, Turkic armies, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan. That's how all the stands, Uzbekistan, and then finally into Mongolia, and from Mongolia into China. That's how they seduced the Eastern Hemisphere to communism. But the Western Europeans, they were happy being bourgeoisie. They were happy being middle class or even poor, but having your own hovel, having your own family, being free. These were all characteristics of the West, but domination is the characteristic of Marxism, and that's what we have in Israel. Zionism is that. It's the same old snake that has shed its skin, pretends to be that which it is not, and then through fear, coercion, murder, terror, forces people to bow and cow to them.
The Ponerology is your study of evil you mentioned earlier. So I think the one fancy kind of $10 term that has come up over the years and is Ponerology of politics and power, essentially. But Bill Cooper, more kind of even just to the point, I suppose, with respect to Shambhala, that there's one presentation that a show that he did back in the day talking about the old man of the mountain and the assassins, Hashashin, and the connection between this kind of fantasy sort of utopia mystery.
I know a lot about the old man of the mountain. His name was Hassan al-Sabeh. Hassan al-Sabeh. He was in Persia. This is Iran. And he became a power in that area through murder and assassination. And he's the one that began mind controlling terrorists. He would bring young men into his gang. He would take them into this beautiful, opulent castle that he had on top of a mountain that had gardens and flowers and food and beautiful babes. And he'd convince them that they were in heaven. After they were drugged,
they'd be heavily drugged.
Hashish. Yeah. Hashish. And that's why and then he'd send them out to murder princes and rulers of different small enclaves or tribes. And since he got them high on hashish, they became called the Hashashim. And from Hashashim, we get the word assassin.
And I wonder if any of this kind of dovetails or ties into the belief in Islam, where if you martyr yourself, you are born into this heavenly realm with how many virgins? Who knows what it is for women? 72. Women, what they get?
72.
What do the women get? Okay, 72. What do the women get if they martyr themselves? There's got to be some treats that they hold out for them, or some glorious promise.
That is a particularly Shia belief, because the Shia have been at war with the Sunnis since shortly after the death of Muhammad.
That's Iran. Iran is Shia, largely.
Yes, Iran is Shia, and most of Asia, it's basically the line of demarcation is there. Arabia and Pakistan and Iran are the line of demarcation. Mostly, Pakistan is mostly Sunni, 85% Sunni, 15% Shia. And then to the west, most of them are Sunni. To the east, heading out toward Indonesia and Asia, Shia predominates. But this is a civil war that's been going on since Muhammad passed away, and there was a civil war because Muhammad promised his three main preachers that they would become, well, let's call it the bishops, right, of the religion. But when on his deathbed, he decreed that his son-in-law, Ali, who's married to his daughter Fatima, should become the leader. And they rebelled. They said, you know, you betrayed us. You told us we'd become the leaders, and now you're trying to set up a royal dynasty, just like the kings of old. And so that started the conflict. And so they murdered Ali. And the killing of Ali is looked as the first martyrdom. He's the first shaheed. And so they ingrained that idea in the Shia. When a Shia child, a boy, is 5 years old, they put him through a blood ritual. And it's an incredible thing to see.
Yeah.
They'll take an axe, a knife, or a cleaver, and they'll chop him right here in the head. Boom, they'll cut him.
Christ,
and the blood starts to flow, and they tell him to taste and drink it. And they go into wild frenzy, big parade, sucking their own blood and praying to be worthy to die like Ali.
That's the Shia.
That's Shia. Yeah.
Even the elders do that. I've seen video footage. The elders axing themselves, or somebody else does it for them, I guess, and they're just going to this, as you say, wild frenzy with the blood. So it's not just, it's, I guess maybe they do it every year, in fact, or every several. Pardon me?
I was raised Catholic, and when I was about 10 years old, I had to go through confirmation. When we had confirmation, you have to swear that vow that you will be a soldier of Christ, and the bishop will actually hit you in the face lightly. They don't smack you. Some, I guess, if they don't like you, they'll hit you harder, but they'll slap you in the face to show you that you have to suffer. You may have to suffer for persecution to stay true to your faith. But and you know what? You can tell a Shia from a Sunni, because the Sunnis don't have the scar. It leaves a scar, and when you find one who's got his hair receding or his hair is thin, you can see the scar in the forehead of a Shia.
Thank you for that, Robert. We've got it looks like another voice that's recently been added to the conversation here, dropping in, connecting to us via Phoenix, Arizona, with just a few minutes left in this first part of the team's call before they shut things down, and we transition over to the commercial break end of things. Sonia Galactic, that's not
Hi.
That's not Squeaky. Is that a
No.
Not dog?
This is Juliet. She's a sweetheart.
How long have you had her?
She's not mine. She's my daughter's. But I was thinking about taking her on my road trip with me. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see how she acts.
With a big leash, you can't. How would you feel? You like any of these pets? You do that, and I have nightmares, kind of, where the door is open. This is a reoccurring dream. So feel free, anyone out there, to help interpret. But the door is open and these cats keep escaping. I'm worried about letting them out, and and I wake up and, oh my God, they're here. It's okay. So do you ever have those dreams?
No, I have not. However, it'll be a handful, I'm sure.
What would you do though? Like, think about it. You lose your pet out on the road like that? It'd be hell.
Yeah, I put a tracker on him, I guess.
You can't leave them behind, I guess.
No, you have to stay there until you find them.
So let's look. We're gonna get cut off here. Sonia Galactic, galacticfire.com. What's the latest via the website?
The website, my website, or WPRPN?
Both.
Just busy, super busy. So that's pretty much it. Just building new stores for guest spots.
Oh God, you're multitasking.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, my birthday's coming up mid-July, and of course we're taking off shortly after that back to Canada for a 2-week hiatus. So it'd be great if you could have something in place by that time.
Wow, that would be something, huh?
Yeah, that's 3 weeks. I guess it gives you 3 weeks at least.
Yeah,
for the
I think I could do that. I think I
virtual
could do that.
birthday present. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to work a little more together behind the scenes, as well as things start to come a little more into focus. But most of what you show me so far has been pretty much on the mark. So we've
Sweet.
got Roger Hansen here out of West. Oh, is he back? Is Roger back or not? Oh, he is. Okay, Roger, you dropped out and then you came back. Is that right?
No, I've been here all the time. I just switched my avatar. You thought it was Mark Edworthy, and it was me.
Oh, well, we're gonna get cut off here if we don't hear from you now. And it looks really good, by the way. So you're hosting us via D Live. Let's
Yeah, I'm doing D Live, Rumble, Premium, X, and Kick, as
nice,
well as Twitch
good stuff.
and D,
Yeah.
and D Live.
Oh, very
There's
good.
this chick on D Live, man, that's been getting all hot and horny with me on there, talking fresh.
Well, we can see that you were talking. It's Sonia that you're talking about. So careful. It's right up on the screen there.
Oh, she's there.
Yeah, the two of you need to get a room. Basically, is what it comes down to. Roger, come on now.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
I have the RV, so
May-
that's as close to a room as we'll get.
Oh
so.
God.
I got so scared. I got so scared when I found out she had the RV, because she said she's gonna abduct me and shit. She's gonna come all the way over here and just abduct me.
I could see that happening without much difficulty. So make sure everybody gets a chance. Take a look at the talking points during the break, and then we'll dive headlong into those when we return from the commercial blurb. They're going to be cutting us off here momentarily. Vinny from Brooklyn, Robert Morningstar, of course, and David Wilkes, Zane Ivey. Zane talking about don't forget the exclusive Plymouth Brethren out of England. Yeah, that was the radical so-called Christian sect that Crowley, Aleister Crowley, his family supported. So now, how instrumental they were exactly in was it political Zionism? And keep in mind as well too, most political Zionists are not Jewish. They're not Jewish. Isn't that interesting? Most Semites aren't Jewish, yet they've absconded with the term. And that really irritates me. It actually, I'm sure it upsets a lot of genuine bona fide Semites as well. You can just imagine, like, how dare they? So, Viva Abba, whatever that means, I'm not sure. So, David Wilkes having a good time being a part of the show. Some early versions of the Quran have grapes rather than virgins. Oh, maybe that's what the women get in the afterlife. If they mar themselves, they just get an eternity of grapes to consume. Richard Easton, good to see you. James, excellent. I mean, this guy's what a mind this guy's got. As far as esoteric thinking outside the box, it's just really quite something. And I think people should definitely take a look at what he's produced. This whole jam. He can describe it better than I can, of course. But numerology, letters, and the way that with the coding of language and so forth, it's really quite something. But we forgot to. We'll kick off with this when we return from the break, I guess. Archaeology confirming site wreck that they found is James Cook's Endeavour. Not sure how many people passed away this week. No. Geez, he keeps forgetting. He keeps forgetting. No. I gotta explain to these folks. Look, Alan, it's not best to call me at this particular time. Everyone just maybe shut your call down as well if it hasn't already done so. And let me call you back in just a few minutes. Okay, so then we can kick off with a 60-minute full 1 hour segment. So, yeah, we were just hearing from Alan there. We'll be back in a flash here, folks. Don't worry, Sonia. Everything is under control. But so many people, and that's the thing, typical sandbagging, and with the Israel reporting a low number of casualties when it's a lot more than what people have any idea, or they will exaggerate. And this goes with as far as anytime there's an issue like with the corona apocalypse and so on, that if they want to exaggerate and really hype up and produce a lot of excess fear porn energy, then they'll juice up the numbers. All trust the science, folks. Trust the science. Make it look to be a lot more catastrophic than what it really is. If they want to downplay, that can be done easily as well, and they do it time and again. This GitHub business regarding the leak, that secret AI leak that was made available to the world via GitHub just this past week. Whoops. The Trump administration really pushing hard for AI to be integrated, brought more on board as far as political machinery and governing of America is concerned, largely within the bureaucratic realm, one would assume. There's been even talk in China, you can see it coming to the West eventually, where they have AI judges, or sitting up there. You can do it through a Zoom call too, I suppose. Why not, right? Just talking to a bot, and they are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, or at least as far as we're being led to believe. So there's a lot more to get to here as far as get rid of this, I suppose. It's just nonsense. We don't need that. I'm not sure why the link didn't come up properly, but I don't know. Trump, so far, one of my big questions is, are we going to see Netanyahu finally call it a day? Is he going to be held to account? He's a desperate and dangerous man. He was dangerous. He's been dangerous his whole career, really, and the role that he and presumably, he figures more centrally in the whole September 11th business than what most people have any idea. If we take the time to investigate and research. So, and we've already covered October 7th, of course, and how we tried to just even prior to that seize control of the judicial branch of Israel's government. Not the most popular guy in the country. And you would think that maybe, with what's been taking place, the attack on various Israeli cities, not just military targets, but elsewhere as well, that could have that could have an impact on his popularity. It's just in the last week, as a matter of fact, there was another vote where he only came out ahead by two votes, actually. Or there would have been another election held. And can these people spend the rest of their life serving as the head of state, the executive branch, or what exactly? You think there'd be term limits in place? But his greatest accomplishments. Meantime, while the world is focused elsewhere, they continue just to the carnage And the death toll through starvation and other means via Gaza is, it's heartbreaking. What can we do other than remind the public and listeners to take a look at and reflect upon themselves? Uh, is it really worth it? What's actually going on via that part of the world? Did you know? Fun little fact here, folks. Uh, how much is it exactly? It's well over, is it $500 billion worth of assets, offshore gas and oil deposits that just not, just a short distance off the coast of Gaza. That's what, well, I mean, something that could be used to help, if that's the plan exactly, build Gaza, restore it in a way which makes it livable for its indigenous people, the original you know residents of the area. So that's a lot of money, though, clearly, and something that has been known about for quite some time, not just recently discovered, although I think there's some out there that would like to have us believe that were the case. Ibogaine, as well, was one of the interesting stories that we came across this week. We'd heard about it in the past, but Ibogaine, something that can help addicts. Maybe this is a story that uh, maybe this is a story that Roger, among others, would be interested in hearing about and learning more of the value of Ibogaine in treating major addictions. So it's similar in some ways, I guess, to the way that magic mushrooms have been used for people who suffer from alcoholism, uh, maybe even smoking. I know, I remember back in the day via Canada when I was smoking, not as much as some people, but enough to probably damage my lungs significantly, thinking it was cool and that it added a little extra something to the voice. When really it was mostly just fueling bronchitis and, God only knows what, running more of a risk of developing cancer, who knows. So, pretty, the crazy, foolhardy things that young people engage in. So, uh, but in doing magic mushrooms, they were lovely, beautiful, and the way that they put you in touch with nature, essentially the earth, very organic, holistic, organic, and spiritual, in the sense that uh, it puts you more in contact with what is hidden from us, it would seem, until we pass on into the nether worlds. So, having said all of this, let us not tarry any longer. I'm not sure if bringing up this file via VLC is the best idea or not. Probably would not be the best approach. That's why with the intro, which we'll maybe get around to editing this week, there, were some slight technical difficulties, even more so with the recent Brad Olson show that we did. And for people that haven't had the chance to listen to that, do check it out. The version that we're going to upload across Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey will be edited. So there's about a 30-second chunk or slight little intro segment that we've snipped out of there. And we'll have available across those other archive platforms, BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble. What a show. There's so many more items that we would have liked to have bounced off of him, but he was proved to be highly engaging, very knowledgeable. His esoteric book series as well, something that if we had if we could afford, we've got so many books here on board at present as it is. It's ridiculous. I'm thinking more of trying to not really abandon, but I guess just do away with, in the sense of selling a few of them. They're hard to let go of, but books are just amazing, and items such as what Brad has to offer, chocked full of all kinds of great esoteric stories, knowledge, and lore. So do check that out. You can either wait for what we once again upload across those various archive platforms, or drop by Facebook, which that video will only be in place for, I think they have a new policy over on Facebook where they're deleting all these videos after I think it's just 30 days or something to that effect. So be forewarned. But YouTube is there for now, unless they send us one of their strikes, as they so often do, for whatever reason, just because they can, I suppose. No need to answer any questions. Yes, we can. Yes, but all right. Red Dragon Herbs and Teas. With any order of $25 or more, you will immediately receive a 10% discount. All you simply have to do is let Ryan know one of two things, either simply Pirate Radio or Pirate Code. While over on the CanaSense Cannabis Collector front, 5813 is our referral code. Take note of that, folks. 5813. We'll be back here in just a flash. Do not touch that computer mouse or radio dial.
Medical cannabis is now legal by telemedicine. Get the medicine you need by getting reviewed for a medical cannabis card. Contactless appointments available at CanaSense.com. For as low as $39, you can get reviewed for a medical cannabis card. That's CanaSense.com for a licensed medical cannabis doctor review. CanaSense.com has all the information you need to get connected with a doctor for a $39 medical cannabis appointment. CanaSense.com. CanaSense is common sense.
Catering exclusively to the Des Moines, Iowa area and beyond, Red Dragon Herbs and Teas is a small, family-owned business dedicated to the creation of only the finest quality artisan herbal tea blends. Drawing upon many of the world's most richly established customs and traditions, Red Dragon Herbs' mission is about more than just getting their products out to the market. They also strive to help educate their customers on the wider benefits, history, and folklore of all their plants. Of course, Any seasoned pirate knows when they're fixin' to tango with the Kraken, you best be powered up with at least one of the finest select quality premium items freely offered via Red Dragon Herbs and Teas wide inventory. Choosing from any of their caffeine-free headache relief or rest and relaxation blends, history has proven their products among the best sources of scurvy prevention and vitamin supplementation. Red Dragon Herbs and Teas, bringing you guaranteed homegrown health relief.
Red Dragon Herbs and Teas, bringing you guaranteed homegrown health relief. We are back with the final segment of this week's live streaming show, World Pirate Radio News. It's what are we looking at here? 324 is our segment number. Had a little fun with 322 a couple weeks back. Good old Skull and Bones calling card number. So Matthew Arrrrrrr, people are watching on the slideshow right now. Yes, indeed. Check out his work. Very impressive. His analysis, the depth of research, and how he manages essentially to connect a lot of the dots, looking at how essentially history has unfolded, the shapers of history, think tanks, steering committees, non-government organizations, NGOs, non-profit organizations. That sounds really good, doesn't it? They're not in it for the profit, are they? Think again. So the Fabian Socialists and numerous others. Yes, Matthew Arrrrrrr, a fellow Canadian actually. So he's been featured on the James Corbett show and elsewhere. It'd be really great if we could have him drop by here at some point and possibly even connect with Robert, courtesy of the Morningstar Report. So we are, thanks largely to the work of Sonia Galactic, who's come in recently, taken a more hands-on approach as co-producer, booking numerous guests. So our itinerary right now is, quickly we're seeing things penciled in and filling up as far as feature guests are concerned. That's a great thing. We are reconnecting here right now with the make sure you mute out as well too, folks, when we're not speaking. It's always good for technical quality reasons. The teams, folks, so hopefully we'll get 60 minutes out of this, but it is what it is. Hang on a second, we got to get your channel open here on this end. Go ahead, Vinny. Yeah.
I just want to say one thing I didn't see on the sheet was Trump's F-bomb today.
Oh, good one. Yeah, we can hear more about that in a second. Let's give a shout out as well to Thomas Pascal, who's connected. Yeah, I think he's connected with us here out of Colorado, or where exactly he calls home, his home state at present. I'm not 100% sure, but Colorado was for a time. Let's hear more about the F-bomb and then shift the focus. Let Thomas have the talking stick, and then over to, how about Alan, Tankman Alan,
Sounds good to
via
me.
Fort Collins, Colorado, as a matter of fact. So
Excellent.
yes,
Excellent. So the F-bomb, right? So Trump is confronted by reporters before he goes to take flight today, and they ask him about the whole situation, and he drops a big old F-bomb on him and tells them that they're all a bunch of scumbags for everything they're doing to try and foment this whole war now.
what was his quote
And
exactly? I was listening for that. I couldn't find it.
I have it on my channel. I don't remember the actual quote. I'll get the video for you. But basically, if you remember a couple months ago, Elon did the Bellamy salute, and everyone gave him hell for it. But there was a meme running around I saw yesterday it's on my feed in Twitter, that more people complained about him making the Bellamy salute, the Roman salute, than they complain about child trafficking. And I say this is more of the same thing. You know, they make a big deal about him dropping an F-bomb, and yet, wait a minute, how about all the death and misery and all the crap going on, and all the stupid lies that they're
Right.
trying to promulgate
Well,
to get out of this?
but
Right?
this is the media though too, and we have to remember and understand that they're the gatekeepers, and they filter so much. They set the agenda as well too. So we really do have to take what they have to offer with a healthy grain of salt, because it's not reality that they're reflecting. It's their version of reality as per what they'd like to have us believe. So
Boom.
yeah. But thank you for that. Thomas, hey, it's great to have you on board here, my friend. It's been a while. I know we saw you go live the other day, and we took the time to drop in and hear a little bit about more as far as what's taking place, in
Well,
your
well,
life. How are things
thank you,
going?
Captain.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
Jonathan.
I mean, well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on.
Hmm.
Miss y'all for one. My life, I'm dealing with stage 2 cancer. Not only that, I got a hell of a support from a beautiful young woman, and her family. They've been pretty cool. They're conservative as well, and it's been life changing. Yeah, these last months have been cha- challenging, changing, like going full throttle. And you know how I met Miss Alicia. Well, I was just looking for someone just to have old minds alike, what they say, right? And we found each other on the famous Facebook dating, and then afterwards, you know, bonding and all that. So she really is incredible. She's got an awesome kid. He's all about video gaming and all. But besides that, just, stage 2 cancer, we were able to finally roll it out after how many years. So that's what's been causing the spitting up blood. Now I'm going to be looking at other medical resources to fight the cancer. Am I prepared? Yes. I mean, this ain't an everyday battle, but I'm ready for it. I'm focused, even with the live streams and getting on there and speaking from the heart. Like, and I've known you for years as well, and a lot of people, and it seems like we got some new faces, which is cool. So it's really a blessing to be on here. And more importantly, you know, our mission doesn't die. Our mission is to continue to spread the truth no matter what. Like for me, this is what I'm being dedicated to, what really matters. And, of course, y'all have seen my comedy, all that. So to everyone, I'm Thomas, by the way, and nice to meet a lot of you. And, so yeah, like it's really been something within these last months. And to finally get the answer after so long, my battle has just begun with cancer. And I know I'm going to push it through because there is no quit. There is no doubt about this. I'm not going to let this thing take me. I'm looking at options. Some people have said chemo. I mean, I'm going to look at everything, even surgery, knowing it is stage 2 lung cancer on my left lung. I want to tackle it before it gets much more worse. So, yeah.
Were you have you been a smoker over the years at all?
In the past, I used to be a big vapor. I used to vape a lot, and that's what caused it. The chemicals from the vaping, it's what caused a lot of the issues with my lung.
That's interesting.
Uh,
Myself, now don't take this. You're going to do what you're going to do, obviously, but I would rather die than do chemo, just because I have no faith in that approach whatsoever. Radiation, a little different story from what I understand, and now depending on the sort of cancer one contracts, CBD, THC type. Health strategies. But
exactly.
I'm no
Yeah, I'm
expert.
not. No,
But Robert
I'm not
Morningstar
looking at
is
chemo.
no. Well, okay, your choice. It's
No.
your life, your choice, your body,
Yeah,
your
no
choice.
chemo.
But that well, okay. No, Robert, we'll hear
Because
from
my girl,
momentarily. But let's go to if he's still here, out of Fort Collins, Colorado. Alan Tankman Fredrickson, and then down to Robert, who might have a little health insight as far as how he would. It's a tough one. I really don't know about lung cancer at all, but an angel was spitting up blood too. It's just a number of months ago he was showing us pictures. Angel the Jackal Espino. So maybe it's a similar type deal. If you're if you're still in contact with him, Thomas, you might want to reach
I
out to
am.
him and ask him how that's going, and
Oh yeah.
that what your symptoms were.
Yeah, Angel. I mean, he's a fighter, and with him dealing with this, yeah, it is scary. We've all known Angel for years, and if he is listening, brother, keep up the good fight. You know, he's like an uncle to me. He's known my father for so many years, and I'm listening to my team, and part of my team on what to do you know, is to fight this, and maybe from what my girlfriend brought up, get it surgically removed, which that is an option. Like that is an option. I want to do everything. No chemo, no radiation. I'm not taking any chances to be killed. I want to look at what we got on the table before we even go to
Mm.
those two last things on the table.
You're still a pretty young guy too. I don't how old are you? Early 30s? You're not even 30 yet,
29,
right?
about to be 30.
Yeah, right. Alan, if I think we've still got him there via our ranks.
Oh yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. What do you now? Hey, Thomas, are you still a what do they call them? Coloradians? Coloradian, or are you in a different
Yes,
state?
Colorado. And you're in Fort Collins. I know exactly where you are, sir.
That's great. That's great. And here in Colorado, we say everyone's welcome for lunch. Some are friends, some are lunch. Especially the
Summer friends on the
coyote
woods.
and mountain lions around here.
Wow. Can you eat
Oh,
mountain
I know
lions
that,
and
brother.
coyote? Can they be eaten and put
I'm
on
sure that they can, and it's better than them eating you.
Well, that is true, but I'm not sure they're not really known. They're not renowned for their flavor. I don't think you don't hear too much of that. But
Well, coyotes are just basically dogs.
right,
So.
yeah. So they actually that'd be a eating keeping dogs in imprisoned, and really these tight confines that they do here in South Korea, these cages, that it's become illegal now, I think, ultimately to eat dog meat. I'm not sure how the law reads exactly, but uh having said that, maybe there could be a whole industry, you know take off as far as exports to Korea of wild coyote could be
Yeah, no, over in
promoted.
Korea, Asia, dogs are no different than a pig or anything else.
You should see the way it's horrific. My heart breaks for the cats in China. It's different here in Korea. They're a little more, a little more compassionate. Not totally. There are still some old school farmers, I guess I've heard, who do eat cats. But China, it's terrible. It's really off the charts, and they're all kept in cages. And what a life to be born into, the animal realm, as it's known, versus what we are. It's the human realm. So how about that? But Okay, Alan, let's hear some updates via year end then. Fort Collins, the home network.tv uh, enterprise that you've been working on developing here over the past number of years, and so on and so forth.
Well, I appreciate you having me and joining Home Network TV. And basically, right now, what I'm doing is I'm reshuffling a bunch of the archives so we can have a blowout every weekend for UFOs. Robert's show is also included in that. We have Beyond Undisclosed, which I'm a co-producer for. So we have a lot of things that we're putting together, and it's a rather rare archive. It's over 3 terabytes big, and it's all UFO related. Very rare videos. Videos have been taken down because they were just a little bit too accurate, things like that.
Speaking of UFOs, a lot of people don't know this. We got to get this out there. They'll pay attention, folks. There's going to be a big, and Robert might be really interested in hearing about this. Maybe he knows about it. Maybe he will want to look into a little further. Canada is finally coming forward with a big UFO reveal. There's been an ongoing study, I guess, and it'll be interesting to see the results as far as how they are presented, essentially.
Well, I do have some recent news for you that
the end of July or the
is,
end of June, rather. It's coming up quite in the next couple of days. People can look forward to that. Go ahead.
I do have some recent news for you about. Are you familiar with the Boogosphere?
Nope.
Well, it's a sphere they caught down here in South America, either that or Lower Mexico, and they recovered it because it came too close to some power lines, and apparently it interfered with it, and it fell out of the sky. A guy went and got it. Has a whole bunch of weird writing on it and stuff like that, and it's turning out that it's actually man-made 1980s military equipment. And that study is just getting wrapped up. But basically, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, how big is it?
It's about the size of a medicine ball,
Which is
a
what?
little bit larger than a basketball.
Oh, I see what you say. Okay, gotcha. Right. Yeah. And what's it made of?
Well, that's the other thing. It's made out of exotic metals and things like that. They were able to get an X-ray through it, and it looks like it's a conical coil of some sort inside of it, a resonance chamber, but that's all they can determine by that. I have a dog yelling at me here.
I see.
But
exotic earth material?
There's exotic material in it, yes.
Is
and
it Earth, but is it found on Earth, or is it other potentially not of this world?
It's potentially something else, or a very rare synthetic that they have difficulty creating.
Why then would if this is the U.S. military that back in the 80s were producing these sort of items, why would they be doing this? What's the point?
Well, for surveillance, for one thing. Also, I have noticed that these orbs a lot of times are surrounding or in relationship to a larger craft. Let's say you see the TR-3B, you're going to see a few of these orbs flying around as well. I've noticed this in footage and prior to and after. And also there's fast walkers like the one in Arizona that was a drone that picked up basically a ground level fast walker. The thing couldn't have been 400 feet high. And it was just traveling along. There's a lot of evidence supporting the existence of this, and that was before AI got as good as it is. But there's a serious problem with the Boogosphere, because if it genuinely is alien, then none of these governments would allow a civilian to have that Boogosphere, and the civilians have it. Okay, the only thing they got to do is pick up the phone, see a tail sticks, and it's gone. Okay, so first of all, we're permitted to have it. Second of all, it has a 16-pin interface with a alignment for a connection to it. okay, on the top of sphere surrounded by a bunch of nonsensical hieroglyphs. And the other thing of it is, the speculation is those hieroglyphs are supposed to be a message to man. You don't put hieroglyphs, a message to man, on your wrench or your hammer, do you?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, what would the role of purpose of the hieroglyphs be?
Well, I think that it's deliberately given to us. It's 1980s technology with a 16-pin connector on the top of it. And it's a Trojan horse. They're trying to convince people that is from the aliens when it's actually 1986 technology from man.
And the TR3Bs, it is said that those actually are reverse engineered.
Well, they are in part. They're the propulsion is, but unfortunately, the idea of the aircraft is not. As a matter of fact, there's some close-up of the TR3B where you can actually see two tail fins, and in some of them, you can actually see the cockpit direction forward. So they're still 180 degree in reference to forward movement. And nonetheless, the propulsion that they're using is basically on a stylized B-2 bomber.
Mm-hmm.
And it's stylized a little bit better in order to handle this. There's emitters on the wings, and you can find this in the Phoenix project that was also based on the B-2, which basically created a plasma field in front of the wings, making it so it was near silent, breaking the sound barrier.
Fascinating. Yeah, just utterly intriguing. So once again, I mean, if ever you were to look at a field of study where the waters had been muddied, need not look any further than ufology.
Well, it's just amazing that, these people are allowed to have it. The U.S. government hasn't come swinging in, which would be your first suspect in any country. The U.S. government's the ones that are recovering it, not those countries.
But hang on, you're talking about the Boogosphere that was recovered down in South America?
Yeah.
Well, but isn't an American?
It's
item?
American built, 1980s, early 1980s, late 70s.
So you said it's used for
connection.
It's used for surveillance, like espionage type function, presumably.
But it also has built-in proximity detectors.
What does that?
It's a proximity. Proximity detector detects mass, so it doesn't fly into something. And what they want is the propulsion and the proximity detector, which it seems to be mostly of. So I think that one of these fell out of what is referred to as a navigational sphere, because topographically, the magnetic poles and the flux around the Earth is fluid, just like waves in an ocean. So there's variances, and they have to have a map of the current magnetic map of their immediate area in order to be able to fly properly and adjust for that magnetic difference. So they have these spheres that fly around that they're able to detect, and it actually gives them the magnetic values of what they're flying over.
Okay. Any news items of interest that you would like to present to us here, including the fact of, have you had the chance to check out the series of talking points, the document that we shared in the chat?
I haven't been able to check out the chat. No, I've been trying to line up everybody. So if they did turn on their camera, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, we'd actually have a full panel.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I can do that here. I'm actually ready to engage on that level. Not a problem. So
there we go.
Yeah. Well, we're going to want to take, we got the slideshow running right now, but maybe if you're done, have you mute out and
well, I've got like 20 other projects, but not. They're just as long as expressive. But yeah, some of them are still on the cooking, cooking and getting thought of. So, but we have about 20 projects going on at one time right now.
Via
Well,
home network.
let me ask the question, because I can ask the question. This sounds like Project Bluebeam, where you're talking about a 1970s craft that the U.S. government is using with these hieroglyphs. That sounds. I mean, if they're mocking an alien invasion, that sounds like scammery. I mean, it wasn't.
It is scammery. It's a Trojan horse. They would like to convince now. What's his name? Greer came out and said, "Oh my God, look at the bogus sphere!" But everyone's looking at the top of it with the symbol of a microchip with 16 pins in copper. Well, wait a second. That's the charging port. That's the same thing as a USB port, only in 1980s technology where the robot can come down, find the location because the dot is offset. It rotates until it finds connection. When the offset prevents it from shorting out with other connections. When it's lined up, it stops. So there's absolute 1980s robotics there. I recognize it. It's something that was used in order to line up for larger equipment, like if you're building an engine on a car or something like that, some of the hysteresis there. So I recognized it immediately, and it's like, wait a minute, that's 16 pin. I mean, heck, it threw me back to the Commodore 64, man. It really did. So I mean, that's the technology that done this, and this is how long we've actually had this technology.
Who gained possession? Who gained possession of said bogus sphere? And it's not a real sphere either. Remember, folks, it's a bogus.
There's a research team in Mexico, very, very well-known Mexican team. I don't know the name of the show. I'm not familiar with Spanish, but
his name is Jaime
Maussan.
Jaime Maussan.
Yeah.
Listen, I've got to go in a little while, but I just wanted to give you a little information about the B-2 Spirit that was used to bomb Iran.
Okay.
We have 21 B-2s. 14 of them are conventional. 7 of them are advanced technology. They are capable of creating a gravity wave that they can ride like a surfer rides a surfboard. This has been known to me since the early 1990s. It was top secret. I've seen diagrams of it on the internet, so I guess it's okay to tell. They will polarize the wing. One edge, leading edge of the wing, would be positive. The trailing edge will be negative. And then they'll feed this electricity right into the engines so that the exhaust is part of this polarization process. And then it'll bend the space-time around the craft, and it can skim and ride a gravity wave, and almost silently and undetectable. So I thought I'd share that. Since you mentioned the TR-3B and the B-2, they are related. One is a older brother to the other one. I've actually seen a video taken in Paris. Richard Dolan showed it at the conference that we were in, the Secret Space Program Breakthrough Civilization Conference that I was at presenting in 2014. And someone in Paris had a night vision camera, and they got a TR-3B, triangular craft, hovering, swiveling around, and all of a sudden, on the top and the bottom, a globe of white light started to expand, and then when the white light surrounded the entire craft, it was poof, gone. Look around; it might be on the internet. Richard Dolan, really knocked out the audience with that one.
Wow.
Another person to follow is Michael Schratt. He's been tracking the secret program, secret UFO reverse engineering programs for a long time. SCHRATT, Michael Schratt.
That's right. Yeah. I think, he's been on Coast to Coast and many other places too. So how did your show go this past week, Robert? I missed out because I had that part-time gig that came up?
Yeah, well, we found we're finding solutions. Revolution Radio's gone to Discord. It's kind of flaky. It takes a long time to load. It's sometimes unresponsive. But Alan and I used freeconferencecall.com, and it's an excellent platform. I would recommend it to you. It's just like Skype used to be. It's free.
Okay.
Can people call in?
Yes, people can call it
via a telephone, landline.
Yeah, they can call in via landline. They get a telephone. You can put out a telephone number with a code, and you can let the guests. I had one guest that came in first by phone, and then she fixed it up her situation.
Free conference call.
Yeah, freeconferencecall.com. I've had it for many year. I was on a Canadian UFO conference about 4 years ago, and it works very well. So I would recommend it to you as this alternative. You might even think of just chucking Teams. I got my money back from Microsoft, by the way. They charged me, and they wouldn't validate my account. So I contacted American Express and explained to them I paid for it in good faith. I tried to set it up. They wouldn't validate it. I called them up and talked to artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence said, what product are you talking about? I said, Teams. And they said, I don't understand. What is that product? I said, Teams. Teams Essential. I don't understand. And then I wrote him email. So American Express handled it, and that's that. Jeez. Break up Microsoft. Kill it like Ma Bell. Everything got better.
Antitrust. You're promoting antitrust.
And yet AI,
I'm going to mute out.
And they say AI knows everything.
Okay, Robert. Thanks for dropping by.
AI. There's one AI that I'm starting to like. I had a wonderful conversation with Copilot, the Microsoft AI of all things. You know, I despise them for killing Skype, but their Copilot really surprised me with an amazing conversation that went on for 3 hours about numerology and names. So I'll tell you more about it. I'll hang out till I can. I have another friend in Montana who's we're going to get together. So thanks a lot, guys. Good to see you all.
Nice meeting you, Robert.
Thomas, I put some notes in the chat. Ivermectin, fenbendazole, chlorine dioxide, red light therapy of 660 nanometer and 880 nanometer. You can take the red light and just put it on your chest. I have healed people with that red light, long distance. Our friend, Dr. J, live in LA, Dr. J Radio live in LA, he was told that he had only 2 months to live. And I convinced him that he shouldn't take a death sentence from a doctor who doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And he's still alive.
What was the diagnosis?
I think it was cancer, and he was having a lot of pulmonary problems. So I used the red light, shining it through my camera to his iPhone. He put it on his chest. He was suffering pneumonia at the same time, and he was able to heal. So if you go to Amazon.com and type in red light therapy, there are many different kinds. And I actually, I could give you a demonstration, but I actually have a big red light that has the combination of 660 and 880 nanometers. And I put it on my chest, and I hold it there. I put it on my dantian. I worked on my knees. The Russians discovered in the 1950s, while looking for the death ray, they discovered that 660 nanometers is the most healing light in nature. And it heals wounds faster, gets rid of scar tissue, inflammation, and I support it wholeheartedly, and I recommend it to everyone.
My grandmother used to have a heat lamp, a red bulb heat lamp that she used.
Yeah, this is just frequency without the heat. Yes, I've used that one for years, but this one doesn't have the heat, and it's better without the heat because you can stay in it longer. Okay. So, guys and friends and ladies, I'll say good night. I'll listen in, but when my friend calls, I'll bail out. Okay.
Thanks for dropping by. I really appreciate your insight and analysis. As always, very.
Yeah, thank you for that, Robert. I will be looking into that.
Knowledge share.
How many times for the red light therapy?
Pardon me?
How much?
How many times for the red light
How many
therapy?
times?
Like how many times a week?
Oh, you can do it every day. You know,
Every
5
day?
minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's
And did that help to get rid of the lung cancer?
inflammation, infections, arthritis, rheumatism. It helps almost everything.
Wow.
As I said, and I discovered it in a very strange way. This is very interesting. Like I said, you know, synchronicities, God talks to you. In the 1990s, I read this Russian paper about their discovery of this frequency of light to be the most healing light in nature. I put down the paper and I picked up Corso's book the day after Roswell, and I started reading about how they recovered a strange flashlight that would put out a red light that didn't dissipate and went on forever without dissipating. And I'm reading that. And my cousin, a U.S. Navy navigator, walks in. He says, "Hey, Robert, I brought you a gift." I said, "What's that?" He said, "I bought you a bullet pointer. You know, the first little laser bullet pointers."
Yeah.
So he gives it to me. And I said, "This is great." I pick out the spec. I open up the specs, and it says, this device puts out a light frequency of 658 to 660 nanometers. And I'm thinking, man, God just laid this on my lap.
This is all within the course of what, like half an hour?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow.
I was reading the paper, then I picked up Corso's
Synchronicity.
book.
And knowledge shared. How did you put that earlier? You kind of got garbled.
Knowledge shared, knowledge doubled. And what I call what we're doing here
Montana, friend.
Yeah, that's Montana calling. But I want to say cross-pollination of information.
Generosity as a first step on the path to wisdom, as I often put it too. So giving, generosity, giving that's
right.
Really, if you want to live a happy life for yourself and everybody else, practice generosity. So thank you for sharing your knowledge, Robert.
Sure, thank you.
Okay.
Love, Thomas. Bye.
Yeah. All right. Well, Robert makes his way on out the door. We'll anyone like to, Roger, we didn't hear too much from you via the front end of things. Is there anything that you or Sonia saw, maybe, and Vinny, I think Vinny's still here with us, that you saw as far as the talking points that we put together that caught your eye? And maybe we should scroll down and take just a closer look at the document we did produce in support of this week's live stream. Any of you, Vinny, Sonia, Roger, feel free, take a crack at it. I don't want to hog the mic.
About the grooming games.
Okay.
That doesn't get enough talking about.
Yeah.
They covered up these grooming games.
Sure.
They covered up this crap, right? And they let it happen.
That's their voter base. That's their support base. That's how they get. That's how they win re-election.
It's ridiculous, though. Think about this. It's insane. It's insane what they do, and then they target people for alerting other people to this danger. So in other words,
hate speech. That's right. Yeah,
hate speech. The old hate speech. Ooh, blah blah. It's nonsense. It's complete nonsense. In a real world, they would realize that these alerts they would be turned nuisance calls, right? Because but instead they're treating them like the worst criminals, and the worst criminals they treat with kid gloves. In fact, they escort them to their next rape. Practically these freaks.
Mm-hmm.
It's just infuriating.
Yeah.
But guess what? The worm is turning, scumbags. You will all burn, and you will all have for what you.
That's a great reminder. Yeah, the grooming gangs. You find that I'm not sure about Canada. You can bet it's an issue there, though. I like to look into it. Britain, though, it's horrific. Clearly, the way it's been, and this ongoing issue. The Labour Party has, as you say, they've approached treated with kid gloves because they do not want to offend their voter, voting support base that they have. so that they're able to then, come out on top the next general election. Thank you, Vinny. Any other items of note or interest that folks? Well, before we get to that, let's give a shout out to Herb Anthony here too. I'm not sure what he has here as far as the YouTube link is concerned, but let me just, in conjunction, I suppose, with the show that we are doing here and the feature splash photo, Netanyahu and the rabbi, will pull up now. There is considerable amount of different instances and analysis of Netanyahu and the rabbi. Robert knows his name. We have yet to really get our heads wrapped around that, but he was a Messiah type figure here, who you see on the screen, passed away a number of years ago. We're gonna scroll down, and if we can see more comments, it'd be great if Facebook did a better job of highlighting those. But we had Matt Imber come in asking if something or another was related. And yes, it was, but more to the point, we've got this other item here. Now it says old rabbi asked Bibi. He actually did have a name, and he was the head of the Chabad Lubavitch, as from what I understand. Very dangerous organization, who probably are implicated in figure more in a more central role, this whole business, as to what Robert was referring to. This is the catacombs as well. Pay no attention to the monkey walk. What is this? We talk about that's fascinating, very athletic. So I'm not sure. Some major booty being featured on the screen there at present, but older rabbi, he hastened the Moshiach, I guess is what they call them. Now, our computer may be slowing down because of, this is why we like to run off of two machines where we can. I wonder about the possible. Oh, hang on a second now. Hang on a second, folks. Sure. Since we last met, many things have progressed, they say. However, the Moshe still hasn't come. Do something. Do something. Apparently it's not enough. Still not here.
אבל יש עוד כמה שעות, אבל יש להסתדר גם היום, בצורה טובה. זה שמחה וטוב לבוא. כדי שחסידים מקפידים שכל נאמין ותצליחה. בצורה טובה, הצלחה רבה.
Chassidim are careful to do everything with happiness and joy, I guess, is what essentially he was trying to emphasize. Now, and how directly related they are to the Sabbatean branch of, I'm no expert in the field of religious Judaism. And remember, a lot of Jews, they're not even religious. They're secular atheists. And many of them, they're really dangerous because of that. They feel, and I think this is secretly probably where, I could be wrong, but where Netanyahu, how he looks at it, that there's no implications. There's nothing that he'll suffer, karmic consequences as a result of his actions, or if he does that because of this inverted worldview, that the more suffering and pain that he can inflict on others, the greater the rewards. You know, the more good things that will come his way, as per the completely very creative. It's like I'm thinking of L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology for some reason, but this is science fiction type scenario that they paint for the adherents, and where they can sell them on the idea that what they have is the one and only true path. And even though it is inverted, and you're standing what is traditionally and more commonly regarded as good and decent on its head, that it is the way to that they're expected to as follow as good students and followers of the way of Sabbatean path, that expected to act. So what more can you really say? It is what it is. Hopefully what we're going to find, though, in the Middle East now is, with Trump and the 5D chess, I think they're really pushing for regime change. That's one topic that has not come up yet to this point, the regime change end of the equation, something that Tulsi Gabbard was had been long, stood in opposition to, until she became a more central part of Trump's cabinet, head of the national director of national intelligence, I guess is what it is.
And then she got threatened behind the scenes to change her point.
Well, basically, of course, you got to think about it. It's like, look, either you fall into line here with the boss, or you're going to suffer the consequences. And so she quickly came around and repented. So he probably, I think he likes having her around, and it's just that she's got to understand that, I guess, he reserves the right to veto. As a president, you would think, right? He reserves the right to veto. Maybe he's made the right decision within the grander scheme of things, the bigger, broader picture. We'll see. It almost seems like he has. Interestingly, I was, because if only because things are, at this point at least, it appears to be, there's a calm now, that it was as he put it, this 12-day war and conflict. And by the way, we just got a message here. Our chat will end in what they're telling us is 15 minutes. So take note of that, folks. But what are your thoughts, people? Regime change, and did he make the right decision? Those are the two questions.
Here's my opinion.
Yep.
Regime change, this is what the neocons wanted. They wanted us to bomb Iran. And think about it, Trump, I saw, he was like, no, I'm not going to go in and bomb Iran again. I want an immediate ceasefire, which, what just happened? Benjamin Netanyahu, one of the war hawks that wanted Trump dead. Let's not forget, all the people that are praising him are the ones that wanted him dead last year after they took the shot on him. And now they're all praising him, thinking, oh, yeah, now we can manipulate him. And after what Trump said today, these countries have no effing idea. He's starting to realize he just got played. Yeah, I mean, I was nervous about what happened over the weekend when he bombed Iran. I think, my opinion, it was the stupidest thing that he could ever do, because this is not our fight. Just like with Ukraine, this is not our fight. We got issues going on in this country, and, they want regime change on purpose. They want to issue in that one world order.
Yep.
And Trump is seeing right through it.
But, however, the one thing that I was worried about, as with many others, because he ran on a campaign promise of no more wars, that he would play right along and the true neocon fashion allow the U.S. to be drawn into a broader conflict. However, it seems, by all accounts and indications, what they are saying and trying to really emphasize, and we'll just have to wait and see, but that this was just a one-off surgical strategic strike done for the highest, most noble reasons. No nukes for Iran, and by the way, and that's it. That is the extent of things. They're not interested in a broader, wider conflict. Iran is aware of this. The question is, will there be regime change? A lot of Iranians are not fans of. They call him the Ayatollah. I guess he's the new head of the Shia people. A lot of Christians in Iran as well too, and I'm not sure if you've looked into it or not, Thomas, but I'm not sure if they're treated like second-class citizens exactly. If they're expected to pay the demi, I think it's called the demi, where it's a special tax. If you don't convert to Islam, you're required to pay a special tax. So essentially, that'll be coming to Canada and the U.S. if either country or any other place around the world, Europe and otherwise, allows for Sharia law to take over and for Islam to dominate. So yeah, now is the time to reverse the Kalergi plan that has been implemented. And this is another thing that big media, the mainstream corporate media, it seems entirely lost on. They here via the digital underground, we are almost always the ones to be in the know when it comes to so many different areas and issues. Well, the mainstream media plays the roles. Said it earlier, say it again. Gatekeepers. They set the agenda. They play the role of gatekeepers, and it's a filtering process where a lot of the news items and stories that they could cover are simply cast aside and ignored. Go ahead, Thomas.
Let's not forget that the sleeper cells. I mean, the sleeper cells got on our country because of the CIA.
Mossad sleeper cells?
All of them. If you think about it, because fuck. I mean, if you think about what was placed in Trump, all right, he said that Iran, all right. Who also funded the terrorism? The CIA and many other foreign governments also had an influence. Iran wasn't just responsible for killing the Americans. There are other groups that were tied to it as well. The neocons, Lockheed, right? BlackRock, all of them had a part on injuring our families and our people, and yet, Iran's this, Iran's that. It's all a bunch of bullshit, sorry language, but it is. What Trump did, yeah, he did make a promise not to put us in another war. And, all of a sudden, Israel starts striking Iran, right? Like, come on. And then we get involved with our B-2s. It's all a bunch of bullshit to pull us into a war with Russia because Ukraine failed. Now that they got to go with the other guys. It's all a bunch of bullshit. Sorry, language. I apologize.
You can say BS. You can say BS. That works just as well. In fact, if not even better.
Okay.
And Sonia does have her hand raised here. So, yeah, keep that in mind.
Go for it. Have the floor. I'm good.
Okay. Thank you, Thomas.
Hi. Yeah, I was just wanting to point out another point you had in the document that you provided for everyone. And it talks about ibogaine, and it's kind of vague, but it says this deadly drug can also contain, or can also ibogaine, which is not very clear.
Well, look
but
it
in
up.
any case, well, I know what ibogaine is, and that's why I'm speaking up, because ibogaine can actually counteract the whole addiction to fentanyl.
That's what we're talking about. That's right.
And anything else. Yeah. So I just wanted to stick up for ibogaine, and actually I put a couple links in the YouTube and the DLive and stuff
More
like that.
people need to. That's why we're here. We're helped to get the information out there. For the record, we're not here to offer any formal medical financial or legal advice. It's largely entertainment and informational purposes. What people do with it is up to them. In addition, that the views and opinions provided and expressed on behalf of myself, the show's host, and our guests do not necessarily reflect those of either the wider listening audience nor the show's sponsor. So,
Yeah.
sponsors, go ahead, Sonia. Oh, by the way, hold it before you carry on.
Sure.
Who do we got? Who do we got in the queue for this week's upcoming Friday night feature show?
Tony Sayers. That is, if you have gotten his Rex yet. So I'm not sure if you have.
Well, we'll have to check the email. What is he all about essentially? Why did he catch your eye?
He talks about the death trap that happens, and he also talks about the folks who are in the New Age movement who talk about placing your power outside of yourself and things like that. So he just has some really interesting perspectives on that. It's bound to be a great show. Absolutely.
Okay. What do you mean by death trap exactly, or what does he mean?
Well, apparently there's a death trap that happens. Apparently some folks think that or believe, or whatever you want to say, that there's it's working off of an AI system or something, but when you die, they present you with all these figures that are fake, they're just pretending to be them to get you to go into the light, which is actually apparently the reincarnation system that they have set up, to where you just get kind of put back in here as loosh feed or whatever.
Loosh. What is loosh? I've heard that term. What is it exactly?
Yeah, well, it goes back to kind of where the Gnostics, like what you were talking about earlier.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is what I'm thinking. I might be mistaken, but go ahead. Yeah, the Gnostics.
The Gnostics, yeah, and the Archons and things, how they feed off of the negative energy that we put out. And
right. The Pretas, I think, is what in Tibetan tradition, maybe the hungry ghost. Oh, for sure, that negative. That's the fear. They love the fear, the lust, lust and ignorance.
Yeah. So this guy, he's all about anti-fear, and he's all about not falling into the BS that they put out about these things. And so he just presents a really different perspective.
All right.
So it should be really interesting.
Excellent. And what did you think of the Brad Olson interview just a few days ago?
Oh, it was fantastic. Yeah, that was great, actually. Yeah. Yeah, Brad's a great guy. I like him.
Any takeaways?
Well, I like the map that he provided.
The heart map.
Even though we couldn't get that into chat.
We've got it in the slideshow tonight. I'm not sure if it's come up or not, but it's there. Okay. So yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
That's right. So Harp, look into it, folks. You can now the thing with Chat GPT, open AI sounds good on this. You think, oh well, open source. No, I asked, is this open source? Like, no. So it's a proprietary? Like, yeah. And then who runs Chat GPT? It's like, well,
exactly.
We got serving on the board of governors. We have Sam Altman. Look up who this Sam Altman guy is. I'm sure a few of you have heard about him to this point. Larry Summers and Peter Thiel, three among others, but three just, recalling here off the top of my head, not so very nice Jewish men, and that's one thing that really irks me and a lot of others too, is the disproportionate, nothing against Jews per se, of course, that's right. Ridiculous and absurd, but the over representation, where they talk about affirmative action. Well, how about toning down? You want affirmative action? Sure. Affirmative action for the Gentile Goy. How about, people that are, how about that? We kick that into a high gear, not just,
right. Yeah.
Really, without this, I'm not into the whole white pride thing. I think that's ridiculous. And the reason is because what did I do to achieve? I didn't do anything to achieve my skin tone, or did I, or pigment, other than karmic, as you say, this, and it is a trap. It's not a death trap. I guess it is, because
ask Tony.
What's the leading cause of death, Sonia?
I would say
Doctors.
mind. I would say belief in mind.
Okay, what, Vinny?
I said doctors, malpractice.
Well, you guys are close,
That
but you're more or less describing symptoms of the cause. So, what is the leading cause? Ask again of death.
Malpractice.
No, more symptoms. I think we brought this up in the past. You guys forgot. You're these grasshoppers, very poor student. So the leading cause of death, Sonia, is birth.
Boom.
If we weren't,
I disagree.
Well, okay.
Well, that's a good thing, Jeffy. Did you hear about Grace Shara? She was murdered by a hospital, and the jury sided with the hospital that they could issue their own DNI order, do not resuscitate order, and then kill her with medication.
Well, and do you know that we all of us sign these ridiculous waivers when we go into any hospital around the world? It seems almost any. It's like you can do whatever you want, and you will not be held legally responsible, and so that is problematic. Like they will not touch you unless you sign your life over to them. And
Mm-hmm.
All about consent.
So, but it is birth. We'll talk. I mean, if you want to keep it brief, that's fine. Oh no. Oh geez, are we going to end in a couple minutes here? Do you guys want to call it a day, or should we queue up just a final little mini segment like we did last week, the third one?
I'm up for a final.
Yeah,
I can do it.
We'll make it a quickie. We'll make it a quickie just for you, Sonia. I think that's probably
Love quickies.
You've known a quickie or two in your time.
Oh,
I have.
My wife got
I'll be getting off, so I'll just.
It was nice seeing you,
I'll be
Thomas.
getting off.
More canoodling with the more canoodling with the missus,
brother.
Thomas. More. Do you hear what I said?
Thank you, Miss Canoodling with the missus.
More canoodling with the missus. That'll help too. Trust me.
Trust
Yes,
me, I always do.
absolutely.
She's been a big help.
Red light
And
therapy.
I want to say everyone
How
that's
about that?
listening, everyone, and Alan, Miss me and y'all, Robert, you're probably listening. He probably is. Thank you for the information to fight this lung cancer. Thank y'all for letting me be on here in this short amount of time, and I'll be on next Tuesday. There's no doubt about it. I miss hanging out with y'all on the late Tuesday night, and getting to know y'all. So, and please hit me up on Facebook.
Thomas, go ahead and get a hold of me when you want.
Pirate
Thomas,
Church.
get a hold of me. You're here in Colorado. Go ahead and get a hold of me.
Yes, sir. I would like to get a hold of you immediately, Alan, knowing you are in Fort Collins, and maybe we can blow the roof off the place to talk about UFOs and everything. Like, this sounds like a good opportunity.
Actually, I have some footage that was taken out my back door, literally. I have some footage. It's rather striking. It's in focus, too.
Yes, sir. And thank you for having me on, Jaffe. It's been a pleasure, and nice to reconnect with y'all after a good year. It really has been. And, please listen to the live streams. I recommend, because, folks, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about half the time. When I get on there, you, the audience, is what matters to me.
And there we go with the ending of that. This is something that makes teams a little problematic, a little annoying. It's not the way that Skype used to operate, but it's how they've got teams set up. It's 60 minutes is what they've got things set at. Hang on a second there. Okay, we've got you back on. Is Thomas, were you all finished? Nearly, it sounded like, but
just about. But I have to say thank you all for letting me on, and have a good rest of this mini part. And I can't wait to be on next week. So y'all have a blessed night. I'm gonna be with the missus. So thank y'all, and God bless to everyone that's listening. We are America Strong, and God bless you.
Tally ho.
You bet.
All right, happy sailing.
Tally ho.
So steady as she goes. Yeah. Another one.
Steady as she goes.
Well, we're still waiting to see those merch items appear on our on our pirate page, but that's fine. We're patient. Patience is a virtue, and virtue, its own reward, is that's how the saying goes, at least. So yeah, Tony Sayers coming up this Friday night, 8 p.m. On the west coast of the Americas, 11 out on the east coast. That's 12 noon here via the Tokyo and Seoul time zone. Anything else that anyone would? I mean, Roger, he just kind of lays back there, kicks back. He doesn't say a whole heck of a lot. He's helps us. He's kind of
He's
like
cool.
yeah, kind of like what Alan does here. He helps out in a real big way as far as syndication and simulcasting. So yeah, we much appreciated. Hashtag good
Roger's a cool
karma.
cat. He's a
But
cool cat.
indeed,
I'm
but
still here.
yeah.
I'm listening.
Yeah, baby.
So Roger, I would like to hear a little more from you before we call it a day, though. Definitely, and I've got to cut away and kind of take a quick look at the comments too. But go ahead.
I just with a lot of the topics you had, I've been trying to avoid them. I hate freaking Donald Trump with a passion now. I don't care who freaking wants to tote about him. He's going to freaking send us into World War III, and there's a good chance freaking that shit's not going to be good for any of us in the near future. And that's about all I can say about all
Okay,
that.
that's fine. That's fine. I think what we saw play out, what we saw play over the past 12 days was World War VIII.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a little bit
saying.
ahead of the kind of scorecard that you're.
Well, I know what
working off
you've
of,
said it plenty of times. I know where you're coming from. So, but yeah, that's basically what it is. I don't care what world war you put on it. It's going to happen. And I I voted for the man, all right. And the reason why I voted for the man was because people were trying to put him in prison, and I knew that they were doing him wrong.
Right.
So he gets voted in as president, and what does he turn around and do to pay me back for the vote that I casted for him? He goes and he does this.
Well, and you know what? There's a lot of people that feel the same way. That was my initial reaction too, believe it or not, that he'd stabbed that, and there was the talk of the MAGA movement, essentially the MAGA of base being divided. But hopefully, if for Trump's sake and the sake of America on its 250-year anniversary, I think there are going to be more celebrations throughout the course of the year. Aren't there scheduled to be more celebrations?
July the 4th,
yeah,
Independence Day.
Wasn't it interesting too? We didn't mention that with this this surgical strike attack on the nuclear facilities in Iran, that came right on the day of the summer solstice. Not only timing, and they say in politics, timing is everything. And then July 4th is some major celestial alignment as well, is apparently what we're going to be looking at. Vinny has got his hand up there, so I guess he's next at bat. Take a crack at it, Vinny.
So speaking of this whole kerfuffle, right? The Strait of Hormuz was closed today, wasn't it?
What are the implications of that? Like, Iran said that it would no longer be shipping oil. Is that right? So oil prices are going to go up, I guess. Is that?
Well, see, that's the rub. See, Jeffy, that's what Taintless Tim Pool said was going to happen.
Why doesn't America just produce more oil and Alberta?
Well, Jeffy, I believe that's probably what's going to happen.
Well,
you see, the oil prices went down.
Oh, they did they?
They went down.
Well,
contrary to economists' predictions.
And here's the one thing I will add that so thank you. That's a great point, Vinny. We'll have to keep our eye on that. But back to Roger just briefly, and something I've been meaning to get out there, and I think I did touch on it briefly once or twice throughout the course of our back and forth, conversation here. The false flags, blame Iran. You want to see a wider conflict?
Mm-hmm.
False flag, blame Iran. This is tried, tested, and true, this technique. By deception, they will make war. That's the Mossad. And I don't think Iran would be stupid enough to, at this stage, especially when they have and Iran has been trying now. They're saying that they will stop responding when Netanyahu stops attacking them. It's as simple as that. So, and then
he's
apparently,
never going to stop.
what's that?
And he's never going to stop. You realize?
Well, he can't. I don't think he can. Not for his political, as far as his political life is concerned. It's either that or jail or The Hague, for crimes against humanity.
2 days ago, Donald Trump came out and admitted that it was actually him collaborating with Donald Trump. He had planned these attacks ahead of time. He sent the missiles. Yes, he sent the missiles ahead of time at Iran. And if you remember, they went on red alert. That was planned by Netanyahu and Donald Trump in advance. So after that happened, that's when he decided, or he had it planned to do the freaking airstrikes.
You're talking about the decapitation of the Iranian military and intelligence apparatus, that the surprise attack?
Yeah. First it was Netanyahu who sent his missiles into missiles into Iran. Then he called a red alert on Israel. After he did that, it was planned that Trump was going to go, and he said it on the news like 2-3 days ago about it being a joint effort between both of them. It was planned ahead of. This was a preemptive. This was a preemptive strike.
Well, yeah, and set up and orchestrated, and they had assets on the ground in Iran. They've got spies. Mm-hmm. Israel does. They've got their people, and they are pushing in a big way for regime change. So, in politics, there are no accidents.
I'm going to get out of here, guys. I appreciate you having me.
Have a good night. You too, Alan. Take care.
Have a good one, Alan.
Happy sailing.
Yeah, I'm going to punch out too, Jeff.
All right.
Have a great night.
You bet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I found out about 2 or 3 days ago, and I agree with I forgot who it was that said one world order. I was thinking that the other day because you think about it, this is the final push. Get rid of the last of the powers that are against the United States and the UN, and all they have to do is take up these countries, and they can say, look, we're going to start freaking unifying this country with this country. Donald Trump's already talking about wanting Canada to freaking join the United States.
Were you supporting? You were supporting him. Well, but you said you voted for him only because he got railroaded via the lawfare.
I voted for him twice, and he lost the first time, and then after that I voted for him this time because of the stuff that happened.
Okay.
And the first time I didn't vote for him because when he first ran for president, I knew that he was full of shit. I've never freaking liked Trump, to be honest with you. He's completely full of shit. He's not he's not an independent. He's 100% neocon.
Hold your nose and vote for Trump, huh?
Yeah, he's not a part of the Tea Party or any of that crap. He has always been a neocon. And right now, with all the stuff going on, he showed his colors. You know what he is. And neocon is nothing but freaking code word for National Socialist.
Mm-hmm. So let me get just to the PNAC, of course, too. This has all been unfolding since the time of September 11th, where it really became obvious and, undeniable what was taking place. It's just that so many people out there, it seems, were hoodwinked, duped into thinking it was something completely different, when if you look into what actually happened, like the Chat GPT open AI, you push it on things like the corona apocalypse, anything controversial, right? And they'll totally, they just toe the line, just provide the mainstream narrative and say, well, that's complicated. And then, well, there have been conspiracy theories floated, and that's about as far as they go. But what, Sam Altman, Larry Summers, Peter Thiel, what more need we say? And that Peter Thiel, he's talking about demonically possessed. Oh, wow. Press for Truth, they approached him during the recent Bilderberg meeting in Stockholm as he was making his way, I guess, just out in the streets off to his next, meeting, location, speech, or what have you. And the guy just demonic. You could see it's just the look on his face. He was just a very angry man, very angry. Would not answer any questions. And Larry Summers, for his part, just no comment, no comment. That's the only thing that he would say to the Press for Truth reporters.
Yeah.
And the third one, so Teal, Summers, and Altman, I'm not sure. He's probably a Bilderberger as well. He might as well be. Let's just finish up here with the comments, and then we'll have each of you chime in with the last little thing way you like to cap things off. But Zane Ivey saying here in the comments section in Peanut Gallery that he watched, he taught the aliens returning his brother after his abduction on confessional. Remember to mute yourselves out as well too when you're not speaking, people, so we don't, as far as quality control is concerned. On the Confessionals YouTube channel last night, wild stuff. Haven't heard of the Confessionals YouTube, might check it out. Thanks, Zane. Very much like David Jacobs' material investigation. Of course, David Jacobs is not he's not much of a pro kind of ET kind of guy. Trying to think of the books that he's put out in the past. I'm not sure if either of you can, the titles come to mind, but yeah, he's very leery of the Greys and the whole agenda as it is based on abduction reports. So what else we got here? It'd be nice if we did have more folks in here. That's right, Sonia. Good job reminding people. Herb Anthony, thank you once again. Zane, I wonder about the possible intersection between groomer gangs and the alien abduction phenomenon. Some which seem to involve abduction, forced reproduction, etc. Well, that's kind of weird, isn't it? But
It's mentioned it's mentioned a lot when it comes to, especially with people who believe they were cyborgs and stuff like that. They're big into that, like all the disappearances happening across the world.
Groomer gangs and alien abductions, but groomer gangs, they're human. Aliens are ETs. But he's talking about here, he's just raising the possibility of intersection between the two.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What are your thoughts on that then? What's your take?
Well, they have quite a few, like what's his name, Anthony Rodriguez. He brings it up, and then there's a few other ones that are in the they call it the secret space program and remote viewing and all that. They believe that Rodriguez said that he was abducted when he was a little kid, like 5 or 6 years old. And then he had to go through a whole experience where he was groomed. And then eventually he was taken up into outer space and stuff. And what happened was is when they were done with him, they just reverted him back to the age he was when they abducted him and put him back where they took him.
Oh, how about that? So it's beyond
It's interesting.
It is, yeah. It's beyond my ability to really get my head completely wrapped around it. I had one incident. I'm not sure. Maybe it was an abduction of sorts, but there's something really weird that happened to me back in the day. It could have been 2000. Now that I come to think of it, no, 2000, no, 2000, 2000, yeah. And I think it might have been when I was making my way back up from the States, just dropped off, kind of parted ways with this witch lady. It was like the most, she, just a terrible person, but a really great teacher because of that, just essentially teaching and showing the ways, and how I got duped, sucked in, and fleeced for significant amount of moolah. So it's best we're not together, though. I will agree that that is true. So she was just in it mostly for a free ride, clearly. But what happened was I was on my way back up to Canada, and somewhere just I think it was Alberta, across the Alberta BC border back into British Columbia. It was in the middle of nowhere, really, because it can be pretty desolate in places, the great North Woodlands as they are. And just on my way making, headed to a place called Prince George, and from east to west, I suddenly found myself in the middle of nowhere, standing outside my camper van, and it was sort of on a slight decline. So it was like rolling backwards, and you know, I think, knowing me, I would be like smoking weed wherever I could out on the road. I didn't have a problem doing that whatsoever. But I mean, that aside, this sort of thing never happened where I just sort of like almost like woke up and came to attention where, what the hell was I doing standing outside my camper van in the middle of nowhere on this, you know, uh, highway essentially, and suddenly realizing, oh shit, I gotta get back in here and get this thing moving along before we, careen off the road into a ditch or what have you. So just bizarre, and I have no memory like leading up to that per se, other than the fact that I was just driving along, probably listening to music, and as I said, uh, you know, good chance there's some pot being smoked, but you got, can't believe it'd be that powerful, really, because
Wow.
it was like, yeah, and that was the extent of it. So maybe if I went into hypnotherapy, which I'd be open to, could try to recall. But then, you got this whole phenomenon known as false memory syndrome, which I do buy into. I can see it as applicable in some cases, but it can also be weaponized and overly politicized, used in situations where people really are being abused, for example. Like,
Yeah.
and then these jerks come forward saying, "Oh, well, that's just false memory syndrome." They don't, it's just something, because you can see how they produce this as a rebuttal to kind of cover their tracks, essentially, and the wicked things that they so often get up to. Which reminds me, speaking of which, and maybe this is in conjunction with Robert shared with us earlier, but beneath the Knesset and all through Jerusalem, I guess there are these catacombs. They hold there's Freemasonic rituals that are held, meetings and rituals. How how Intimately, they intersect and dovetail with the abuse rituals and the like that Robert was referring to, this extreme radical sect, I guess. I've never heard the name.
You know, when he was talking, you know what that really stuck out to me with the rituals he was talking about. It had a real like the frenzied thing. It stuck out. The Phrygians are the ones that really stuck out to me. How they would go into a frenzied state when they had their celebration. It was the Magna Mater, and during Roman times, they ended up bringing a stone over from Phrygia, and they started doing rituals and stuff. And these people, these men would actually castrate themselves on these festivals, and then they would actually like go into a frenzy, and then they would also take and a person would lay underneath a table that had a bull on it, and they would bleed the bull out to where the blood would flow down on top of them.
Yeah,
And it
blood
was
ritual.
Mhm.
That's right.
That's exactly what it sounded like to me whenever he was saying that. I'd just gone over that here recently on one of my shows.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, people can look into that more. Take a closer look at their leisure. Obviously, just trying to wrap things up here.
And I might have been wrong about the Anthony Rodriguez. I'm not sure if that was his last name, but I know Anthony was the guy, and he was involved in like this talking about the secret space program and stuff like that.
Are you talking about Tony Rodriguez?
Tony Rodriguez, yeah, Anthony Tony.
Rodriguez, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's cool. He's a great guy.
Okay. All right. Well, just once again, thank you. However, we need you to just mute out here momentarily. I'm going to run down just the comments. These are the super chats, really, that nobody ever, helps out as far as donations are concerned. But because we've been demonetized, so they can't, But YouTube, they've got the super chat system in place. We've been demonetized, and that's why we depend and rely so much on people hitting us up through PayPal and other means.
You want to know how you get money off this?
Oh, don't tell me.
Show your junk, dude.
Yeah.
Start showing your junk It's like, say it's your after party. Whenever you're ready to end, just start showing your junk, dude.
Right.
Oh my.
Yeah, giant pirate junk. So.
Whenever me and Roger get alone, this happens. This kind of talk happens.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that does. You see, you got to understand. Like we have a diverse audience too, so it is problematic because, I know Robert Morningstar and others.
He has a point.
More conservative, and they like to keep things, just a kind of
informational.
Not so much gutter talk necessarily. Yeah, just
sanitation.
I also wanted to mention just real quick before we get off of here, if that's okay, Jeff. I just wanted to mention real quick.
You said you want to get off.
No, before we get off. She
said it.
She said she's getting off on here.
See. I mean, come on.
You did it.
But seriously though, yeah, right. So I just wanted to say that there is a new category that apparently DK has discovered, or they made for him in DLive, and that's what was it? Infocational, which is information and educational, or no, it's infotainment, where it's information and entertainment at the same time. That's right.
That would
Roger knows what I'm talking about.
That would be us. That's perfect. Infotainment.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it's a new kind of category that's coming out.
Great.
And also, I just wanted to say that Mark Dragus Productions gives his regards. He just wanted to say that, and I told him I would. So there we have it.
Okay.
I want to also add that if you ever go on Kick, Jeffy, never tell anybody freaking that homosexuality is like two dogs screwing in backyard.
Oh my God! How long is the two dogs gonna last? Seriously, I'm
Dude,
just
I
saying.
literally lost like 21 freaking followers in less than a half an hour. They went,
Yeah,
one right
Roger's
after the
really
other.
So
upset about that.
what you said Kick is like two dogs screwing
No,
in the backyard?
No,
we were
no.
having a stream when we were talking about gay people, and I said that homosexuality is like two dogs screwing in the backyard.
Why so
Eventually
exactly?
they do. Eventually, he was saying that eventually two male dogs hanging out eventually will try and hump each other because that's, kind of what happens. And he was trying to,
okay.
yeah, he was trying to compare that to homosexuality with people. And Mr. Robot pointed out that it was not necessarily an instinct, because Roger was saying it's some sort of an instinct, and he pointed out that it's more of an urge than an instinct, which is that makes absolute sense to me. So
I agree with him. I just think saying the word instinct it sounds so much cooler. You know what I mean?
it does sound cool. It is pretty cool, yeah.
Especially when sodomy is on the table, something's got to smell, right? So
right.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't think that Kick was that woke. You know what I mean? I knew that.
Oh, you're lucky you haven't been shut down, man. Like Oh, by the way, we're back. Speaking of which, we're back on Discord now. I don't know what happened.
Wow. Imagine that.
Yeah, and Vinny, check out the link. We shared it in the Telegram Teams here. So Vinny is connected with us already. That's just my Coffee with Jaffe channel, if you want to call it. We're going to launch a WPRPN outpost as well too here before too long, but mainly we got to focus on getting the archived end of things updated, because we've got last week's news, the Brad Olson show, and now that's 3 shows. And there's been times we've been 4 shows behind, but just because of our work schedule and everything. But
good news. Good news, Jeff.
Got a diamond.
It's updated, Jaffe, on the website I'm working on. It's automatically updated with no issue.
I know you hate Discord too, but send your link to us. Send your link to us.
Well, yes. It's in Teams. But just to be clear, what you were saying, I didn't quite hear the end of it there.
Sorry about that, Sonia.
Oh, well, I was just saying that the new website that I'm creating automatically updates anything on YouTube all the time. And you can even go live from YouTube to the website if you would like.
Oh, so have you got that worked out? Have you got that figured out?
Yeah.
Well, because Mark didn't, he just could not for the life of him get that straightened out with Alan over on Home Network TV. And that's what we need. Every time we go live, we need that stream to come through the main WPRPN.com homepage.
It's automatically set up. You don't have to do anything. It's automatically goes up there. It's up there right now.
We're live through the main website right now?
No, actually you would have to go in and click a button to say that,
I'm not,
that you're going live.
It's not me who's having to go in, Sonia.
Well, soon it will be. This is part of your new website ordeal that you would perform.
Who's the techno wizard who's we're expecting to go in?
It's a plugin right now. Anything that you upload that's already finished will be uploaded.
Okay.
So
I got a suggestion for you, Jaffe. Instead of calling her your co-host, just call her your producer.
She is a co-producer, definitly, and merchandise director. She's got that title.
She's literally
chain smoking biker mama.
Yeah. He's reluctant to call me co-host. So.
She's doing like
you are a co-host. Yeah, so is Roger.
On any shows that I get a guest on, sure, which is fine. I mean, I don't even care. It doesn't even matter to me. So.
Then why are you bringing it up?
Well, Roger actually brought it up, so.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, she'd sound better as a producer 'cause she's doing everything
She's
a producer
co-producer.
does.
She's
No.
co-producer.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Co-producer.
Anything I can do to help.
Co-host and
Just helping.
web mistress. I think she's that mistress thing. Will
Ooh.
that'll
Ooh,
float
I
her
got the mistress title.
boat.
Yay.
And
Yeah. Float my
merchandise
boat. Whatever.
director. Yeah.
It doesn't
Okay.
steer my ship, though.
It doesn't steer your ship. Well, how many guys have you been playing right now as it is anyways? I mean, come on. It's time
my
the world
goodness,
heard.
Playing?
dude.
What
You
are you
got
talking
how many
about,
guys have
playing?
you got like
She
you're
doesn't even
stringing
care
along?
about us Americans no more, dude. She found
Oh
a
my
freaking
God.
New Zealand surfer dude, and freaking she just bailed on
boy.
all of us.
Oh,
Like,
No,
freaking
that's not even true. That's
by
not
the
even
way,
true. I'm not even going to say anything at this point.
that
Playa,
reminds me,
playa,
on the show,
I'm working on a
but
song right now
playa,
called
playa.
Catfish. It's my latest song title, Catfish.
yeah, there's no catfish here, bro. Okay.
Yeah, catfish.
What you see is what you get.
She's playa,
Catfish.
playa. Yo, playa, playa, what's up?
Okay, so let's we
Playa.
gotta wrap up. This is more the after show kind of where things
my
become
God.
slightly
You guys are
unraveled
crazy.
and unhinged. So
Yeah,
Zane Ivey saying he ran into two Chabad Lubavitch guys in Itaewon, Seoul a few years ago. They were looking for Jews. I wonder if they were hunting them. It sounds like that could have possibly been in the cards. They, the Chabad Lubavitchers, it's a prominent Hasidic sect. The complex historical ties to the Frankist movement. Jacob Frank, I remember Robert brought up Jacob Frank just when he was on with us here a short while ago, claiming, and there's your heart map, by the way, in case
Frank
you didn't.
Jacobs. It's Frank
didn't,
Jacobs, by the way.
No,
Frank Jacobs.
Yeah, but also Jacob Frank. So maybe
okay.
there's some, who knows what the parents were thinking at the time of naming him. I don't know. Leave that aside for the time being. Gotta stay focused here. Stay focused as we put this one to bed. The Frankist movement, which emerged in the 18th century, and of course he claimed to be the reincarnation of Sabbatai Sevi, or Sabbatai Svi, hey, there's an RV I'd like to have in my garage. The Shaggin' Wagon, huh? Oh boy, how about that? So if ever there was one that God made. So but yeah, it was not as successful from what I understand. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought that Sabbatai Sevi was much more, made more waves than the Frankists. So, but and there's a big Jewish non-Zionist community in Iran as well. That's true. Yeah, like not all Jews are anti-Iran, but they might not be friends of Israel. They just don't. They're waiting. See, a lot of people don't know is that there are certain religious Jews, not the secular atheists. They could care less, but the religious ones that they believe that there should not be any Israel in that particular region of the world until the appearance of their Messiah. And only then, can things unfold or emerge as have been prophesized. I guess that's their take on things. So it's kind of similar. I mean, not entirely, but you look at the Buddhist tradition, waiting for. Why is he escaping my mind now? Shouldn't be. That's ridiculous. I'm thinking Milarepa for some reason. That's not it at all. The prophesized. Oh, the Maitreya. You know, it started with an M. Yeah, the Maitreya, the future Buddha to be. So, isn't that interesting? And we all have that potential, I guess, if that's what we set our sights on and cultivate, sufficient enough abilities and purity of heart and mind.
You want to hear something?
Probably not, but go ahead anyways. And let's just.
Yes.
there's some Jews that didn't return back from Babylon after they were released from captivity. You know that, right?
Okay, so those are the ones that are still in Iran, you think?
Yep.
Well,
There's
good,
some in
good.
Iran and
Yeah.
up in the surrounding areas.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Well, and sure, of course. And you know that there's been many false flags, terror. Remember, mute yourselves out. I don't like to take care of this myself here manually, folks. But yeah, when we're not talking, just to do that. So there's all the background bleeding kind of deal going on. But Mossad sponsored largely, or I guess back in the day would have been the Stern Group and the Ergon. I always forget that third one. There might even have been a fourth, but they all came together, these Israeli terror groups, and guess what, folks? They formed the IDF. So to think that Israel is anything less than a terror-based state is really missing the point. That's all they've ever been right from the get-go. They need that, I guess. They're incapable of living in peace, and unless they can work out some sort of deal, clearly a two-state solution or what have you, that there's going to continue to be problems throughout the course of the foreseeable future. So who knows? Maybe Trump has got some plans in the works that are more middle of the road and able to accommodate all sides. I will tell you though, once again, that the people of Gaza, many of whom the real genuine bona fide Semites, and those as well too that Roger was alluding to, the ones in Iran that are mixed in, they still maintain probably exclusion from fellow Iranians. They're all Iranians. That's a nationality, but they're not Persians, right? So it's a different religious group, and definitely Semitic, though. You would think if their history can be traced back that far to the time of Babylonian captivity. And there's more I was going to add to that, but the story just goes on endlessly back and forth, obviously. Looking at a picture of Thomas Crooks there, was he or was he not the young fellow who appeared? I almost think that maybe the photo on the left was altered as well too. I really do wonder. Like, don't put that past them. Trust me, the powers that be. But everything was sanitized. Everything regarding Crooks, the alleged shooter, and his family. And I say alleged because Robert, among others, and he claims that he had the information given to him via his contacts in military intelligence. That's as far as it went. But Matthew Yerrick, which if you break that down, anagrams, they're always fun. It's year, it's rather ear yick, so like yuck, and that's exactly what Trump, he displayed on that day in Butler back last July, a little bit of ear yick, and he was lucky that was as far as it went. So, but the Yerrick family, definitely, and you're not going to get much truth regarding these matters and many others as far as using Chat GPT, not so open AI, because once again, who sits on the board of governors? It's I would imagine that the algorithms are all very much rigged, and anytime you find a semi-controversial topic that makes its way onto in focus or on the table, that they provide a patented Very predictable response. So for those in Asia, ibogaine can be accessed in a Southeast Asia country too. I don't know if I'd want to. I mean, only if you're an addict, I think you would want to dose yourself with that, wouldn't you? Is it? Does it have like psychedelic properties as well? I really have no idea. And Korean immigration doesn't test for it upon re-entry. What the hell is that all about? Seriously. What is Korea doing testing anybody upon re-entry? Whose business is it really, other than the people themselves? You know, I mean, you talk about fascist overreach. That's just mind-boggling. The extent, and soon, of course, we already found the butt wipes in China, the swabs. Gotta go there. Gotta take these. Just want to see you. Just gotta take a little look up your beep hole. According to South Park, I guess they had a bit of a sketch covering that whole nasty business. So that's just sickening and disgusting. Fascist government overreach, all courtesy of the big chaebols, Samsung, Hyundai, KT and others, of course. They're running the show here, working the mind control agenda, and that's why China has their internet controlled. Here, I guess what they do largely is just distract you with the games and little flashing things on your spy phone, computer games as well too for the kids, which directly target the pleasure producing part of our brains. That's how they have these technologies designed to, in a very weaponized sense of the word. And that's why we've now added, actually, because we have our laptop close to where we crash out at night. We like to listen to late night. These days, a lot of coast to coast. Back, last year or more, through the whole scamdemic, it was Art Bell and others, but a lot of Art Bell. Tinfoil. So yeah, good old tinfoil hats, eh? Ha 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 ha. Well, the laugh's on you. That's the irony. They mock you and they make fun of you. Yet, truth be told, time and again, you were right. That's the reality. That's what they don't want people to know. So, but tinfoil over the front of the laptop here. Danny, of course, making his way back into the room, telling us it's time to feed him. And he's had enough of the live stream here, clearly. So we're going to have to be snapping to attention here in just a few brief moments, just trying to make our way down through the last of the comments. Monroe coined the term loosh, I believe, and I think that's the Monroe Doctrine, if I'm not mistaken. So the heart stops. Oh my God. Is that with ibogaine? Are you serious? Holy gee. Yeah, but yeah. Okay, man. Okay, fine. We are feeding you. Just chill out, dude. Oh, they're so demanding, and the wife says don't spoil them with the wet kind of, meat treats that we give them any more than once a day. So she really doesn't like it when I give them more, but I just sometimes can't help it. So thanks so much to everyone who dropped by, of course, and did make their presence known. Roger, of course, and Alan, well done on the live streaming end of things, simulcasting, syndication, and who else do we have there? Thomas, Pascal, Robert Morningstar, Vinny from Brooklyn, Sonia Galactic. Always forgets somebody or another as well. Almost guaranteed. But yeah, I guess as per what Sonia told us, we are going to be back here later this Friday night, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 on the East Coast, with Tony Sayers. A lot of Gnostic type conversation and analysis. So taking on esoteric, maybe New Age critique, as it were. Guaranteed to get your money's worth, folks. WPRPN.com, the website, as always, Pirate One Radio at protonmail.com, the email address. On behalf of Captain Long John Sinclair and all the rest of the crew here down in Skullport Harbor, until we meet again via these high, often all too intrepid digital seas, I'm your host, as always, the Robin Hood's Chief Communications Officer Jaffe Ryder, reminding you, ear to the ground and eyes to the sky. Tally-ho!